Hey guys, so today I'll be doing another ranking video, and this is going to be ranking different IEMs or in-ear monitors by tiers. I've tried a couple different in-ear monitors recently especially, and yeah, I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on them, and I'll be ranking them according to my own subjective listening preferences, of course. There's just no way to do this kind of thing objectively, I think, because everyone listens differently, has different preferences when it comes to sound, but I'm just going to give you guys my opinions according to what I liked, and it'll be going by different tiers. So I'll have the S tier, which is the extremely top great tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. So I'll just have these 5 tiers, and yeah, I'll be putting all the different IEMs that I've tried into all these different tiers. Of course, price will be a consideration as well, but it's not going to be the only factor. I'll be judging it just based on how much I like the tuning, how much the detail, resolution, the soundstage and imaging, just the emotional impact, all these things in addition to the price, if I think it's worth it or not. I'll be talking about that as well. So how I'm ranking these IEMs aren't going to be just based on technicalities, because that would just be based on price tier essentially, and then the highest tier would just be the most expensive, lowest tier would just be the cheapest. No, I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I'm going to be ranking these tiers based on how much value I think they are. Like, the tuning is one thing. Like, if I like the tuning, and if the tuning is good, then it's going to be higher tier. If I don't like the tuning, it's going to be lower tier. And of course, that's subjective, right? So that's one of the most subjective things about this video is obviously tuning is a very personal preference. But for the tuning preferences, yeah, the tunings I like better will be ranked higher. The tunings I don't like as much is going to be ranked lower. Plus, the technicalities for the price. So if an IEM has above average technicalities for its price point, then I'll rank it higher. If it has below average technicalities for its price point, I'll rank it lower. So it's going to be a combination on technicalities for the price point plus how much I like the tuning. I think that's the two main factors I'll go by when it comes to this ranking by tier. So again, very subjective, but yeah, I think that's how I'll do it. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the D tier. The D tier is what I would consider to be IEMs that are below average. Like, none of these IEMs are going to be unlistenable, I would say, but just in my opinion, these are the IEMs I didn't like, basically. So I'm going to put them in the D tier, like below average for me. So I'm going to start off with the Fender FXA5, which I think retailed for around $200 or something back in 2015 when I got them. They're technically my second pair of IEMs. The very first pair I got was the Shure, the Shure 215s? Yeah, the SE 215s from Shure were the first IEMs I ever had. But unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of that IEM because I didn't really take pictures of stuff back then. And all these IEMs in this video are my own pictures, by the way. Okay, so I took them myself. So I don't have any recollection or pictures of the Shure SC 215, so I'm not going to talk about those ones. But yeah, the Fender FXA5s, I would say the second pair of real IEMs I ever got. I would consider these real IEMs, right? Because they have, I think, what is it? Two dual balanced armature arrays. I guess actually someone confirmed to me that actually worked for Aurosonics, the company that Fender bought to make these, that there's actually 4, right? So 2 balanced armature arrays, and each of those arrays contain 2 drivers each. So it's actually technically 4 balanced armatures. But yeah, anyways, at the time they were expensive for me because yeah, I didn't buy a lot of expensive audio stuff back then. So this was an expensive purchase for me. And previously I only had earphones, like the Sennheiser SCX300s or the Beats Eurobeats. And then I had the Shure SC 215s, like I said. But these were kind of like the first real kind of expensive IEMs. They're like 200, 250 around there. I don't remember them being very memorable at all, actually. I think, yeah, I think they were okay. I mean, for the price, they're not too expensive compared to IEMs now, but there's just nothing really memorable about the Fender FXA5s, honestly. So I definitely wouldn't really go back to these IEMs now. There's definitely a lot better choices that you have these days, especially from Chinese IEMs, right? You have so many Chi-Fi competitors in the space now, around the $200, $300 range, where you can get much better IEMs now. So yeah, I would consider these very forgettable, even though I think at the time they were released, back in the mid 2010s, I think they were fine. But nowadays, they just have way too much competition. So I wouldn't recommend anyone get them now. Plus, they're out of production anyways. Fender doesn't make IEMs anymore. But yeah, these were technically the very first IEMs I ever reviewed on my channel. Like I said, I owned the Shure SC215s before, but never reviewed them. These were the very first IEMs I ever reviewed on my YouTube channel, the Fender FX85s. And I don't really have a good recollection of them, which means that they were probably nothing special. And probably even less special now, especially when you have like 10 years later, there's way more competition, right? So anyways, I'm going to put this one in the D tier. Okay, so also in the D tier is the IEMs. IEM is a Chinese company that I would think is fairly well known in the IEM industry. Stands for Unique Melody. Yeah, I really didn't like these. I tried these at an audio meetup, and it's just way too V-shaped for me, at least for me. So I don't like extremely V-shaped IEMs. This is just my opinion, right? Of course, this entire video is going to be based on my own opinion, subjective preferences, but I don't like the fact that the bass and the treble just completely drowns out the vocals and the mids. So yeah, this IEM, I mean, even though it's decently resolving, for the price, I mean, it retails for like $1,400 US, I think. For the price, it's fine. It also might be because of the cable as well, the Astroacoustics Pulse, which is a copper cable, which generally adds more bass. But yeah, I just found these a little bit too bassy and a little bit too V-shaped. And yeah, the bass kind of bleeds into the mids, kind of drowns it out. Yeah, I just didn't like it. I can barely even hear the vocals in the mids when I listen to the mixed. So I really didn't like this IEM. So that's why I put this one in the D tier as well. And like I said, this is going to be kind of regardless of price. Yeah, just based on how much I liked it or disliked it. Okay, also on the D tier is another IEM, the Mest Mark III. I actually blind bought this from Music Tech, and I really regretted it because I really did not like the sound signature. It's similar to the Mexed in that it's pretty V-shaped, but almost like the Mexed had too much bass, I would say, and the bass kind of like drowned out the vocals too much. The Mest Mark III is on the other side, where I think the treble is a little bit too spicy. The treble being a little bit too spicy and hot, of course, it's also V-shaped. Also drowns out the mids, but from the other direction. So yeah, I'm not saying like you have to be all mids or anything like that, but I want to at least kind of hear it, you know? If your mids are gonna be completely like kind of obfuscated by the bass or the treble, then it's not a very good listening experience for me. So again, this is my taste. Yes, I know a lot of people like the Mest Mark II or even Mest Mark III because it sounds exciting and energetic and dynamic. But for me, I want to be able to hear the mids. I want to be able to hear the vocals, you know? So that's why Mexed was in my D tier, and then for similar reasons, Mest Mark III is also my D tier. I just couldn't stand listening to it. The treble is just too strong and powerful. It just drowns out the mids, and yeah, the bass as well. Yeah, I couldn't stand the Mest Mark III, so I also had to put it in the D tier, unfortunately. I like the look of it though. I like the blue carbon fiber, but yeah, the sound is definitely not for me. Okay, so also in the D tier is the Epic Audio Incontinence, and it's not just because of the terrible name, by the way. Yes, I know the name Incontinence is actually pretty terrible. Like why name an IEM that, right? But it's not just the name. It's just the fact that I know it's a cheap IEM. It's like $500, right? I mean, not cheap for a lot of people, but it's cheap in terms of you know, for IEM lovers. Okay. Yes, I get that, but everything about this IEM it doesn't impress me at all. Like, there's nothing in it. Like, I think there's better $500 IEMs out there. So I mean, the Noah, which will be coming out later on this list, is incredible for less than $500 actually. But this $500 US, the shell feels cheap. The sound, yeah, it's just not enough bass, not enough treble, very, very mediocre mids. It's not that resolving. I mean, I know it's kind of a cheap IEM, but there's even better options for the price, I would say. So for $500, you can easily find something better than this. Just nothing about this IEM impressed me or left a lasting impression at all. There's this completely forgettable IEM. So yeah, that's why it ends up in the D tier for me. All right, so this is the Campfire Grand Luna, which I'm also going to put in the D tier because honestly, like, this is a $1,400 US dollar IEM, and it does not sound like one at all. Like, the bass is just way too much on this one. And not only that, it's not even good bass. It's like muddy bass. And the bass is so bloated, it bleeds into the mids. So yeah, all I hear from this one is muddy bass, and then it completely kills the mids. And the mids and treble are not that great. Yeah, honestly, it does not sound like $1,400. It's yeah, I was not impressed with this one at all. I think this, honestly, from the recent audio meet I went to, this is probably one of the worst IEMs that I tested there. Yeah, so I don't know what Campfire was thinking with this one with the Grand Luna, but I mean, maybe it's for bass heads, maybe like $1,400. You might still find something like with better bass than this though. So I don't know who it's really for, honestly, but did not like this one bit. Okay, next at the D tier still is the Flip Ears Aura. Yeah, actually, I would say this IEM, if it was like less than $1,000, I think I wouldn't put it in the D tier, because like price is kind of a consideration when I'm ranking this. I have to like, tell you guys if it's actually good value or not. But if this was less than $1,000, I would say okay, it shouldn't be D tier. It'd probably be like C tier or something like that. But when I looked at the price, like I didn't know the price at the time, right? Now I'm looking at the price. It's $2,100 US, and I was like, no, there's no way that this is worth $2,000. Okay, when I heard this, I was like, I thought this IEM was like $800 when I heard it, right? Because it's like, there's nothing really memorable about it. Yeah, like just bass, mids, treble, soundstage. There's nothing memorable about it. Nothing stands out to me, and I remember the thing feeling the thing I really got away from it was just, it doesn't really sound resolving to me. It sounds like everything's behind a veil, like it's not resolving. It sounds kind of muffled. So I mean, for $800, like, because I was coming from like all these other like more expensive IEMs, so I get that. Okay, it's not going to be as resolving as like a $3,000, $4,000 IEM, right? So I thought that maybe this was an $800 IEM, but no, it's actually $2,100. So when I looked at the price, I was like, no, there's no way this thing's worth that much. I mean, it's just yeah, for $2,100, and it sounds like that veiled, like everywhere pretty much on the bass, mids, or treble, nothing's really defined. No, it's not a great IEM. I had to put it in the D tier considering the price. So yeah, there it goes in the D tier. Like, it's definitely lacking a lot of detail, and honestly, like the Hercules Noah, which will be much higher up on this list, yeah, even that one I think sounded better and more detailed and revealing than the Aura, which that one is like a $500, less than $500 IEM. So yeah, just consider that, Yeah, I didn't like the lack of detail in the Aura, seriously. Okay, so also in the D tier is the Hyphemis Finars, which it's been like maybe a year or so since I tried this one, but I can remember this one not being very impressive to me at all. It's a single 9.2 millimeter dynamic driver on it. Yeah, so it's a single driver dynamic IEM, but it wasn't very impressive. It retails for $2,000 US. Did not sound like a $2,000 IEM at all. Honestly, it's got like bass presence, and it's got like this kind of peaky treble, and it's got the recessed lower mids. So it's, yeah, kind of like this U shape. But yeah, honestly, soundstage and detail resolution wasn't very impressive for me. Like, I was listening to my TA Audio Monarch Mark IIs at the time and did not feel that these were an upgrade at all, actually. And it was like twice as expensive. So yeah, I remember like this is just not very memorable for me. So Hyphemis Finar, yeah, it just wasn't for me. And the fact that the shells look incredibly plain as well, yeah, not very impressive. Okay, so next to also on the D tier is a soft ear Cerberus. So I listened to this maybe like 2 years ago when I was in Japan, but I remember these being, well, first, they didn't impress me much at all, and then second, they're memorable but not in a good way. Like, the tuning's is kind of weird on this one. Like, it's got sub bass extension, and then it's got relatively, I would say, elevated bass and mids, but then the treble is like recessed. If you actually look at the graph, it's actually almost nearly flat. which is weird actually, because if you make the graph flat, it actually accentuates the mids like more, makes the mids a bit more forward, and in the treble it just kind of like dips down. It has like no treble presence basically. So it's just kind of a weird tuning. I couldn't really get into this one. I don't remember the detail or resolution being anything impressive. Soundstage, same thing. I don't remember that being impressive either. And I was testing this against my TA Audio Monarch Mark IIs, which are not really the end all be all in IEMs. It's actually that's just a mid tier IEM, but yeah, the fact that the Cerberus didn't even impress me over the Monarch Mark II says something, right? So yeah, to me these were just weird. That's all I can say. It's got a weird tuning. Definitely not for everyone, especially with the recessed treble. Not sure what's going on there. And yeah, these were the previous flagships for soft ears, the Chinese IM company. So yeah, it's really odd that they made their flagship such a weird tuning. But this is their old flagship. I haven't tried their new flagship, which is the Enigma, I believe. The Enigma seems to get good reviews, but I haven't tried the new one. But anyways, I did not like their old flagship, the Cerberus. Okay, so I'm also going to be putting wireless earbuds into this video as well. Yeah, I thought about should I put it in this video or not, but I figured might as well, because like they're not technically in-ear monitors, right? Like they're not exactly wired or anything, but they do go in your ear, and you know, some people might want to hear about what my thoughts on TWS earbuds as well. So anyways, I will put them in this video. If you don't want to hear about it, just feel free to skip the wireless earbuds. But yeah, the only one in the D tier that I've heard, well, actually, I should say the only one that I've heard that I would put in the D tier is the Technics AZ60. These retail for, I think, $230 US when it was first released. It's cheaper now, but yeah, honestly, I did not like these at all. Felt like they were just way too muddy. Bass is really bloated. Yeah, you just really can't hear much out of them. It's not very detailed, and I know like they're wireless earbuds. Hey, you know, like not many of them have good sound signatures. But this one is, yeah, definitely didn't like it. Yeah, I just felt like too much bass, felt too bloated. Yeah, just for the price, I think there's better wireless earbuds that you can get. Certainly these are the cheaper Technics earbuds. They also make the AZ80 and now the AZ100 as well. But definitely I would say stay away from the AZ60s, unless you like to have muddy bass. Yeah, these ones are definitely, in my opinion, not very well tuned and don't sound very good. Okay, so also in the D tier is the Monster Gratitudes. It's by the company Monster Cable. Those of you guys might know them. Basically, they were like a pioneer in the cable industry, the high-end cable industry. And also, they were the original makers of the Beats headphones. So very, very consumer-driven company, I would say. They're like very good at marketing, and they don't even make that many headphones or earbuds or earphones anymore, but they used to. So this is back when they made actually earphones. I wouldn't consider them IEMs, but they are, because earphones eventually evolved into IEMs, right? So I'll just put them in this video anyways. Yeah, the Monster Gratitudes, I had them for a while. In fact, I still have them because I didn't pay very much for them. I only paid like 50 bucks for them. But they originally retailed for $230 US, which is quite expensive. At the price that they retailed for, I had to put it in the D tier because they're definitely not worth that price. Now for $50, they're fine, you know. For $50, but I can't judge it based on the price I paid for it, because I got it like 5 years later at a big discount. So yeah, I'm judging it based on the retail price. These are not worth $230 at the time they came out. I mean, they're not as bad as some of the Beats headphones or earbuds for sure, because they don't actually have that much of a bass push. They do have a little bit of bass, but it's not as much as you would assume with some kind of consumer earphones. It's definitely not at the level of the Beats type of sound signature that Monster was known for at the time. So I have to give Monster a little bit of props, because the Gratitudes are not bass heavy, so they're actually listenable for me. Yeah, so they're actually reasonably balanced, I would say. They have a little bit of a bass bump, but they actually kind of emphasize the mids as well. So they're actually reasonably balanced, but just the sound quality is not on par with what you would pay for a $200 earphone or IEM. Now, at the price I pay for it, it's fine. I think $50 is probably how much you should pay for one of these things. I mean, it's worth $50, sure, but it's not worth $230. So that's why I had to put it in the D tier here. At the price that it came out with, I can't recommend it. At least the sound signature is fine, but just the actual sound quality and detail is not there for a $200 earphone. Well, I do have to give Monster props for another thing though. These came with a lot of ear tips. Like these came with like, I think like 12, 13 pairs of ear tips or something like that. These came with a lot of ear tips and also came in a really nice box. So the packaging was very good. Nice little pouch. And yeah, the cable's actually quite good. You cannot disconnect them like you can with IEMs, but the cable that it comes with is this really nice tangle-free cable. It's got this flat cable here that makes it really resistant to tangling. And I really wish more earphones and IEM makers would do that kind of thing. Like the problem with cables and IEM cables, just cables in general, is that they tangle too easily. And I'm glad that Monster at least made these like flatter, tangle-free, or tangle-resistant, I should say, cables. Not that it doesn't tangle, it's just more resistant to tangling. And I really wish more earphone and IEM makers would do that. So at least Monster has that going for them. And the presentation is pretty nice too. They do look pretty nice for a pair of earbuds. I would give them that. The FLC Xiaolingyuans. So this is from an obscure Chinese brand called FLC. And this is one of their latest releases. They usually don't release IEMs very often. My friend who's an audiophile likes this brand. He told me to check it out. Their other new release, the Shirasawa, was a lot better, honestly. The Xiaolingyuan, there's several problems with it. First of all, it needs to be burned in for a bit before it even sounds listenable. Before that, like, there's no bass, basically. When I got this, I was like, where's the bass? There's no bass on it. You had to burn it in for like 20 hours to get the bass going. So then I found, okay, after I burned it in for 20 hours, there's the bass. You know, bass is okay. It's decent. It's there. Dynamic driver. But then the other problem with this one is the harsh treble. So the treble has a bit of harshness to it. There's a peak to it, which I really don't like. I hate my treble peaks. I hate my 8K peaks, you know? That just kills me. So I can't deal with this IEM. It's so finicky, you know? Like, okay, it has the tuning options. You see this in this picture, right? You can change out the tubes, the nozzles, to tune it differently. There's one for the mids, which is essentially the vocal one. There's one for the bass, to push up the bass. There's one for the treble, to push up the treble, which you don't need anyways, because I think treble's already peaky. And then the balance tube, which is just the one I probably tested it the most. Yeah, no matter which tube you use or which nozzle you use, it's always going to be harsh and peaky. So that's the issue with this one. The soundstage is good though. The soundstage is wide. I would say it's probably like comparable to like $1,000 or even $2,000 IEMs with soundstage. The soundstage is actually really wide, but you have the harsh peaky treble, which I can't get over. So yeah, unfortunately, I had to put this in my lowest tier because, man, it's not listenable to me, you know? Even after burning it in, okay, the bass is there, which is good. It's got bass. The mids are good. They're decent. But no, I don't like the treble on this. It's just way too harsh and peaky and bright for me. Yeah, their other new release, the Shirasawas, are way, way better than this one. It's just well tuned out of the box. You don't need to burn it in or anything. This one, no. And no matter which tuning you use, it's not going to fix the harsh treble. So I had to put this one, yeah, down below here in this tier, unfortunately. And yeah, it gets pretty sibilant as well, which I think it might be a peak in the 6K range. So yeah, if you got like peaky treble and sibilance, there's no way I can deal with that. I really don't like IEMs that have sibilance and harshness to it. Okay, so also in the D tier, I'm going to put the Madu Type 711. This retails for $2,000, believe it or not. Yeah, that's a lot of money, but I know that the IEM industry, right, you have a lot of IEMs that are expensive, but they better be worth the price. Now, I'm putting stuff in the D tier if I really think it's like overpriced, and I do think that the Madu Type 711 is overpriced because, well, I do like the appearance of this IEM because it's so unique. It's actually very heavy, and it's really solid and well built and looks really unique. That's about the best thing I can say for it because the actual sound of this thing, well, it's pretty much all mids, you know? There's almost no bass that I can hear of. I mean, there's probably some bass, but it's like barely even there. And treble is also barely even there too. It's like all mids. And that's the thing. It's like, I like my mids. I'm a mids guy, you know? But if all you got is mids and nothing else for $2,000, yeah, That's what I would consider kind of overpriced. You know, at $2,000, I would expect you to have something more than just mids. You know, like even Dunu 242, which is like $300. Sure, you can say that's a very mid-forward IEM. Doesn't really have too much else going for it, but that's $300. This is $2,000. You know, I can't say that this IEM's like, yeah, all it's got is mids, and that's it. Barely has any bass or treble presence to speak of. So, anyways, this one goes in the D tier because I really do think that D tier is going to be reserved for, in my opinion, overpriced IEMs, and I think this is pretty overpriced for what it is. Even the mids are not that good. You know, it's like if you're going to be mostly focused on mids, like Aroma Jewel's like that too. But Aroma Jewel has amazing mids, very very detailed sounding. These mids aren't even good. They're just forward. They're not even detailed. So, not even good mids. They're just forward. That's it. So yeah. Anyways, D tier. The Nightjar Singularity. I actually didn't like this IEM. Retails for 1,300. I know there's a lot of people that do like it, but for me, this is my list. You know, my ranking. It's just not for me. It's extremely V-shaped, so it's got a hefty bass boost and it's got a hefty treble boost as well. I really don't like that. I like either you give me a soft V shape, you know, a balance tuning or close to neutral tuning. I'm all good with that. Or just give me something that's mid-forward as well, W-shaped. That's all fine with me. Something that's extremely V-shaped, no, I can't deal with it. Like the bass and the peaky treble, and yes, it does have peaky treble for me. It just, no, I can't listen to this too long. It's harsh, it's fatiguing, and yeah, the mids were drowned out. Hey, I mean, in some ways, it's like the UMS Mark III, but it's actually even boosted even more than Mark III is. So, I don't know. Don't like these types of IEMs where it's extreme V-shape like this. So I'm going to put this in a D tier for me because it's really not that good. For me, I had a hard time listening to this IEM. Like, way too much bass, way too much treble. It's way too peaky. Can't stand it. So just not my taste. I know there's a lot of people that like Nightjar Singularity, but it's not for me. All right, so the FLC8S. You know, this is the IEM that my friend, I have an audiophile friend, and he's been weighing in on my reviews of IEMs. Like I would say dating back all the way to my Aston Kerr Michelle that I had back in 2020. Yeah, he's pretty much weighed in on every one of my IEM reviews since then, and he's always compared every IEM I had to the FLC8S. This has been his main IEM since I don't know how long, like at least 10 years or something like that. This is a very old IEM. I think this came out in like 2016, 2017. He's had it for a long time. And every IEM that he's listened to from me, whether it be the Quill Satin or the Unique Melody Multiverse Mentor or the Mr. Craft Myth, or the Kublai Khans, or the Spectrumicas, yeah, like basically everything. Nostalgia Tesseracts, right? Even the original Khans as well. Like basically every IEM that he's listened from me, he still prefers his FLCS over all of them, which is honestly very mind-numbing for me because I cannot understand that. And I haven't got the chance to try his FLCS. He keeps talking about how great it is, and he keeps saying that it has so much great meat detail and soundstage, and it's comparable to all these $3,000 IEMs that I let him try. And finally, recently, he actually let me try them. And to be honest, like I didn't want to hurt his feelings too much, but to be honest, I don't like them. I really don't like them. So I don't think it's actually like that different from, for example, the Shaolin Yuns, which I thought honestly was kind of that's an IEM that I think is very difficult to listen to because of the peaky treble, and it did have good bass, to be honest. The mids weren't that good, and it had this really peaky harsh treble. So the thing about the FLC8S is it doesn't actually even have the bass that the Shaolin Yuns does. It has actually kind of a similar wide soundstage to the Shaolin Yuns. It has better mids. The FLC8S actually has pretty good mids. It's actually fairly neutral, and I would say it's not recessed in any way. Like the lower mids are actually not recessed, and neither are the upper mids. So the mids are actually very balanced sounding and not recessed at all. But the treble is still very peaky on these. Like this treble is still just as peaky as the Shaolin Yuns, maybe even more. So I think my friend is probably a treble head because he doesn't even realize how peaky this treble is. Like I'm very sensitive to treble peaks. I think IEMs like the Tia Trio, the Kublai Khans, the Viking Ragnars, even the Myth, you know, like these are all kind of peaky to me. So yeah, I can't really stand treble peaks, and the Shaolin Yuans were peaky, of course, as I mentioned. In the FLCAS, these are peaky IEMs. They have a huge treble spike, and I know these are tunable. He says, oh, you can add bass, you can add mids, and you can tune them whatever way you want, but it's not going to fix the peaky treble. He says that it turns into a completely different IEM. I don't think so, because it did not do that for the Shaolin Yuans. Like I changed up the nozzles on those, and it did not turn that into a completely different IEM. It just kind of pushes up a certain frequency. So because this was already peaky and he had it on the balance tuning, I don't think that changing out any kind of tuning module is going to change that. So anyways, way too much peaky treble is very harsh. I think fatiguing as well. Mids, yes, are fairly detailed. Treble, he says, is better than Myth. I don't think so, but yeah, mids are fairly detailed. Soundstage is pretty good, definitely for the price. I mean, it's a $250 IM, but yeah, I don't like the tuning of this. It's the bass is way too lean, the treble's way too peaky. The mids on it are good, but I don't like the bass or treble on it, honestly. And that was with the balance tuning. I know you can change out the tuning to add more bass and stuff, but I don't think it's going to fix the treble peaks. So yeah, all those years where you compared it to my other IEMs, like I don't know what he sees in this IEM, honestly. Like maybe his listening is, his ears are very different from mine, but I don't know what he sees in this IEM. It's just I can't deal with it. It's not a very good IEM for me, even if you can change out the tuning. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put this in the D tier. Yeah, apologies to my friend, but I really don't like this IEM. It just wasn't for me. The treble's way too harsh and peaky, and yeah, I don't think the detail and soundstage are really up to par with $2,000 IEMs or $3,000 IEMs. I mean, maybe some $1,000 IEMs you can say, okay, maybe the mids are up to par, but definitely not past that. And he seems to think it competes with my $3,000 IEM, so I don't know what I don't know. Anyways, this one goes in D tier for me. Okay, so now we're going to the C tier. The C tier is IEMs that I found they're okay, I wouldn't necessarily get them, but they're okay. They're not like below average. They're not above average. They're just average. So, yeah, the C tier, I'm going to be starting off with the JH Audio Michelle. Now, JH Audio, they still make IEMs. They're not as big of a name as they were before. They were started by Jerry Harvey, who's one of the pioneers of the IEM industry, who co-founded or founded Ultimate Ears. And they're still making IEMs. They're just not as big of a name because there's so much more competition now. But yeah, the Michelle, I remember these were probably right after the Fender FXA5, which I talked about already. These were my third IEMs that I ever bought in my life. The first being the Shure SC215, and then the second Fender FXA5, and then the JH Audio Michelles, which retailed for $350 US, I believe. And this is a collaboration that they did with Astel and Kern, the Korean DAP company, or digital audio player company. Yeah, at the beginning for Astel and Kern, they still make a lot of IEMs now, but they're almost always collaborations. And for the first few IEMs that they made, it was all with JH Audio. So JH Audio made like a complete line of IEMs that were all collaborations with Astel and Kern. So the Michelle, I think, was their cheapest. It's either the cheapest or second cheapest. I know the Billie Jean was pretty cheap too, but I forget. It might have been their cheapest. They also make another version of the Michelle called the Michelle Limited. I'm not sure what the difference is. I didn't get the limited version. Limited version, I think, was $400. But yeah, what I remember about the Michelle is that it's got a slight V shape to it. So it's definitely got like a more bass presence, got more treble presence. Mids are a little bit recessed. It's okay. I mean, the resolution is not going to be like great or anything like that, but then again, it's a $350 IEM. You don't expect that, right? So I think for the price you're paying, it's fine, and that's why it belongs in the C tier. It's not really disappointing or anything. If it was disappointing, it would go into the D tier, but I think it met my expectations, nothing more. So yeah, that's why I'm going to put it in the C tier here. It's okay, if you get this IEM as a beginner IEM, which is basically what I bought it at the time. I was a beginner audiophile, then it's totally fine as a beginner IEM, I think. So yeah, C tier. Okay, so also in the C tier is the QDC White Tiger, which I tried at one of the audio meets. It's another IEM that's just okay. I mean, It's I think the retail price was like $1,600 US originally on this one. I mean, you can find it cheaper now, right? Discounted or whatever, but it's a little bit on the pricey side, considering what you get. I mean, the detail, the sound resolution, soundstage are probably what you would expect for $1,000 level IEM. So again, it's okay. The sound is reasonably balanced, I would say. Like it leans towards like a flatter neutral type response. Not exactly neutral, but it's like a balanced type response where you have, decent bass, decent treble. The mids are like they're not like too recessed or anything. They're there, but it's just reasonably balanced. Nothing is like going to stand out too much about it. Decent resolution. Again, it's another one of those IEMs that's like, okay, for $1,000, I mean 1,600 or whatever retail for it, I think is a little bit much, but if it's like around the $1,000 range, then I'd say, okay, yeah, it sounds like a $1,000 IEM. Nothing too memorable or exciting about it, but it's fine. It's not like not like the Aura, with the Aura, it was like over $2,000 and I felt like that was like a, $800 IEM. No, this one is 1,600, sounds like a $1,000 IEM and around that range, so it's fine. Okay, so also at the C tier is the Flip Ears Legion. And first of all, I have to note that this IEM, just look at it, right? It's one of the most unique looking IEMs that I've seen. And the price is $850 US, which if you're talking about the IEM industry and the whole market, it's not too expensive. That's below $1,000. These days, IEMs can easily go over $1,000, right? So yeah, 850. Nah, price is actually reasonable, and the shell looks really really cool. Sound wise, I don't really like it because it's actually got way too much bass for me. Yeah, it's just the bass on this is just too much, and it drowns out everything else. Honestly, for me at least. But on the flip side, if you're a bass head, you'll love this IEM. So I think this IEM's for bass heads, honestly. And for the price, I can't fault it too much for that. I mean, yeah, if you're a bass lover, you want to have a bass head IEM under $1,000, Flip Ears Legion is a good bet. You get a really cool looking IEM on top of that, and yeah, the bass is decent quality, I would say as well. So that's the thing I remember with this one. Treble's a bit recessed, and the bass is definitely pretty elevated. But yeah, I mean, I'll put it in the C tier because it's not like overpriced or anything. Really cool looking shell, and hey, it's not for me, but I know some bass heads will like it. Okay, so next up in the C tier is the Aston Kern Campfire Pathfinder, which is another collaboration IEM that Aston Kern did with Campfire Audio. They've done a few, and yeah, this one's okay. Again, I think with this one, I think overall, I think the presentation is fine. It's actually reasonably well balanced, except when it comes to the treble, which is a little bit wonky, I think, on this one. You might think that the treble is a little bit too smooth, and it's got kind of these weird peaks and valleys in the treble. So treble is a little bit wonky. Upper mids are pushed forward a bit, which is fine. I mean, if you like female vocals, good sub bass elevation. And yeah, overall it's a pretty decent sounding IEM. So I'm going to put in a C tier because I think if you like Solaris, then you'll definitely like Pathfinder because the Pathfinder is based on the Solaris. So yeah, it's a pretty decent collaboration, I would say. Okay, next up on C tier is Vision Ears V10, which I actually did an unboxing of before on my YouTube channel. And this one is a pretty well-tuned IEM, I'd say. It's like a W-shaped, a gentle W-shape. Is not like it's really too much bass or mids or treble, but it's just the bass is slightly elevated. Then you have a slight push in the upper mids, and then you have a slight push again in the brilliance peak. So yeah, it's pretty well tuned, I would say. The only thing is the detail, resolution, soundstage is probably not what you would expect from a $3,000 IEM. It is $3,000, but it plays more like a $2,000 IEM. That's why it's going to be in the C tier. If it was $2,000, I would probably put it in the B tier actually, but because it's $3,000, I had to put it in the C tier because it's not really good value for the money. You could probably find better sounding, more resolving IEMs with better soundstage. The Kublai Khan, for example, right? That's got way better soundstage and I would say more resolving than the VE10. But the V10 is really nicely tuned. You know, I can't say it's a disappointing IEM in that sense. Yeah, it's just a little bit overpriced. That's it. And for what it is, you know, it's not it doesn't give you the detail and soundstage you would expect out of a $3,000 IEM. That's the thing. Yeah, but I would say the V10 is a pretty nice, like, all-arounder IEM, in my opinion. So yeah, I'll put it in the C tier. Okay, another C tier one is the TSMR Land, or the Tansium Land. Tansium is a Chinese company that's kind of overlooked, in my opinion, sometimes, because they're not like a huge player or anything, but they make some pretty interesting IEMs, mostly that have tuning switches on them. So this one has 3 tuning switches where you can kind of adjust the bass and treble and mids. So you can kind of adjust the flavor to what you like. Essentially, it's almost like using the EQ functionality, but instead of doing it in software, you're doing it in hardware. So having the tuning switches is pretty cool. Anyways, for me, I think the technicalities are probably what you would expect for like $600 is what I paid for these. Yeah, it's pretty much what you expect for that price. I mean, this being Chi-Fi, it does like hit a little bit above its price range, but it's not going to beat out any IEMs past $1,000 or anything like that. So overall, another pair that I found is just okay for the price. The tuning switches are nice. Okay, another one I put on the C tier is the 64 Audio U4S. This one has 4 balanced armature drivers, I think. Priced at, I think, $1,100. It's okay. It's bass forward, so you'll notice a lot of bass with this one. Mids are probably a little bit recessed because of that reason. Treble is okay as well. It's not like, it's a little bit energetic, but it's not like super pushed up or anything. I think the thing you'll notice more about this U4S is that it's bass forward, so that means that bass heads will probably like this one. Again, not for me, but if you guys like bass and yeah, you're looking for something for 64 audio that's kind of like that, then you can check out the U4S. But again, the tuning's not really for me. I'm not really bass head, but yeah. This one seems like it's bass forward and technicalities are okay, what you would expect for the price range. So that's why it belongs on C tier. So also in the C tier is going to be the Astral & Kern / Campfire Solaris X, another collaboration. Actually, it's the first collaboration that they did with Campfire. Yeah, I actually bought this back in the day, and it's a really nice looking IEM. It retails for $1,500, definitely more than the regular Solaris, and that's because they have the Astral & Kern tax added to it. Because the collaboration, they always got to add the Astral & Kern tax. Yeah, this is a pretty good IEM. I would say it met my expectations, probably nothing more, which is why it goes in the C tier here. Yeah, it's a very warm IEM, is what I remember, very laid back, smooth sounding. So because of that, they elevate the bass just a bit, and the treble is a little bit recessed in order to create that laid back, smooth kind of sound. So yeah, when you do that, it definitely is like the opposite of harsh and fatiguing, right? You think of harsh and fatiguing as the treble being kind of elevated too much. Yeah, this is the opposite. It's very, very smooth, laid back, because the treble is a little bit recessed, the bass is pushed up a bit, mids are just kind of neutral-ish. So yeah. Overall, very laid back, warm sounding IEM, if you like that. And probably just met my expectations. So at its price range, the resolution, soundstage, technicalities is about what you would expect. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it in the C tier here. So also in the C tier, I'm gonna put the FIR Radon 6. I was interested in this IEM because I heard about FIR audio and all their technologies and stuff, including the vented ports and the kinetic bass and stuff. And they also use tubeless technology because the founders from 64 Audio, right, which who pioneered that technology. So they essentially have TIA technology as well. Yeah, this one was almost, it was like just okay, you know, for me when I tested it out. So it has slightly elevated bass because of the kinetic bass, adds a little bit of extra dynamic punch to it, but I didn't feel like the bass was as impressing me as I expected it to. So I guess I'm a little bit disappointed from that. I thought the kinetic bass would kind of be like, ooh, you know, sound really, really nice. But I mean, it has a slam, but it's not really didn't really impress me all that much, I would say. Mids are okay. It's a little bit elevated in the upper mids, which gives vocals definitely a little bit more prominence, especially female vocals. Treble, I remember being a little bit spicy actually. So yeah, the treble. What I mean by that is the treble is a little bit peaky, and that can sound harsh to some people. So yeah, that's the thing I remember of this one. It's like, yeah, the bass is okay. Treble's a little bit peaky. Upper mids are a little bit elevated. Overall, just an okay set. You know, for $3,300, honestly, it's just okay for $3,300. Like at that price level, I would say there's better IEMs that probably can outperform it, like Satin, for example. But at the same time, I can't say like it's not really that disappointing either. So yeah, I just put it in the C tier because I think that's where it belongs. So one thing I forgot to mention about the FIR Radon 6 is a lot of FIR's IEMs, they have this unique tuning system where you have different modules. They call them atom modules, where you can kind of put these modules in and it changes the tuning of the IEM. So it's a pretty cool feature. My subjective listening impression of the Radon 6 is based on the most popular version of those modules. Yeah, I forget which one it was, but they're called Atom XS modules, and yeah, when I was testing them, I was using supposedly the most popular one, and to me, it sounded okay. The bass is definitely very present, but it's not especially like I was expecting, you know, better because it's, you know, kinetic bass and their technology and stuff. But honestly, it's not bad, but there's better bass out there. You know, like I felt like maybe my Multiverse Mentor has better bass, or the Mephisto basically has better bass than this. Yeah, overall it's okay. I felt like yeah, it's definitely got a V-shaped sound signature. Definitely got bass and treble and everything. It's hard hitting. It's energetic. But personally, I think that if you're looking for this type of tuning, there's still better ones out there. It just felt okay to me. I guess it didn't quite meet my expectations, but you know, it's not a bad IEM. Just think it's just okay, I think was my impressions of them. I would say it's a typical IEM that what you would expect at the 3K price point. So also in the C tier is the Alpha and Omega, which retails for around $2,200 US. Tried this one out recently, found it okay. What I noticed about this one is bass is definitely boosted. So I would consider this a bass head IEM, even though it does have mids and treble, but the bass is definitely highly elevated and kind of, in my opinion, it kind of drowns out the mids just a little bit. That's not to say the mids and the treble aren't there. They're there, and they're decent resolution for the 2K price range. But yeah, it's definitely a bass head IEM, I would say, because the bass is definitely boosted on this one. So if you guys are looking for a bass head IEM in the $2,000 price range, I think the Alpha Omega is definitely worth of your attention, because it's not for me because I'm not like a bass head, but if you like bass, then I think this one is pretty good pickup for the 2K price range, I would say. Okay, so also at the C tier, I'm going to put the Master and Dynamic ME03s, which are technically earphones, but whatever, I'll mix them together in this video too. Yeah, this is by the New York company Master and Dynamic, who make very consumer-oriented headphones, I'll say. They also make some wireless earbuds and earphones as well. These were some of their first earphones that came out. They actually had the ME01s, and the ME03s are like $30 more because they add like that little grill at the end of the earphone. It's just like a cosmetic thing, in my opinion. It doesn't really change the sound too much. But overall, these are fine. I mean, for $130, which is what they retailed for, it's fine. The sound isn't going to be super detailed or anything like that, but that's not what you expect at that price range anyways. These are just a decent pair of consumer-oriented earphones. They actually don't have that crazy V-shaped signature. They're not like Beats or Bose or even Sony's in terms of getting that bloated bass. I actually think it's fairly well tuned, and I think I have this opinion about Master and Dynamic products in general. I feel like Master and Dynamic, people think of them as this kind of fashion headphone brand, which they kind of are because they do focus on the looks, but they also, the sound quality's always been pretty good. Like I always felt like their products have been reasonably well balanced in terms of sound signature. So yeah, I mean, I feel like there has a balanced sound signature. You're not going to get much detail out of it because it's just $100, but it's fine for the price that you pay for it. So yeah, if you're looking for like a cheap pair of earphones that looks pretty good, decently, and also has a tangle-resistant cable to boot, then check it out. I think it's actually, well, they have better They have better entries now. This is an old earphone. They have the brass version, I think, out now. Yeah, they have the ME05, which are built out of brass, so that one looks even nicer. So those are probably their more recent ones, I would say. But yeah, not bad. And also in the C tier, I'm gonna put the Final Audio B3s, which I owned for a brief while. I actually bought these in Japan. Yeah, like first of all, it looks pretty good. It's got the typical Final Audio type design. They like to make their design very like kind of minimalistic, but also built really well. So it's got like the nice aluminum shell here, and they sound fine. I mean, they're $500, and they sound like what you would expect for that price for IEMs. I mean, pretty decent. It's a little bit of a V shape, so it's got a little bit of bass push and treble push, and slightly recessed mids, but overall not bad. Yeah, I just felt like it was okay sound. You know, I obviously had better IEMs at that time, so I bought these just kind of on a whim because I was in Japan at the time, wanted to buy some like IEMs from there, and yeah, these are okay. You know, they're not like something I would say, oh, go out, you have to buy it or something. I'm not saying that. Like, they're just okay for the price. So yeah, that's where it goes. Like decent amount of detail and decent soundstage, and tuning is definitely on the V-shaped side, but it's fine. It's not overly offensive or anything. So yeah, they're just decent. That's all. Okay, so I have another pair of IEMs from Klipsch actually. And Klipsch is usually a speaker company, is what most people know them for, but they also made IEMs before. I don't think they make them anymore. They used to actually make headphones and IEMs. They just stopped doing it for whatever reason. Maybe they thought the market was too competitive and just stuck to making speakers now. But yeah, they actually used to make IEMs, and the X20i was their flagship IEM back then. I think it retailed for $550 US, which made it one of the more expensive IEMs on the market. I didn't have too much time with these. I think at least the presentation I remember being pretty good because I came in this nice wooden box and everything. It looks more like earphones than your typical IEMs nowadays. I think it has like just two drivers, just one tweeter and one woofer, that's it. I think balanced armature for both, but yeah. Again, I had a very short time with these, and these were old IEMs I had from definitely years and years ago. But what I remember is that the bass is definitely a bit elevated on these. Treble is there, but maybe like slightly rolled off, I would say. The mids are fine. So yeah, I think the treble is probably the weakness of this IEM. The bass is definitely a little bit elevated, so I think if you enjoy your bass, I think this is a good one. It's not necessarily just for bass heads, but I do remember the bass being slightly elevated on these, and the mids are fine. Overall, it's not really going to hold up to a lot of the IEMs today at the price range, but for the time it came out, I think it was fine. For $550, it was a more expensive IEMs, probably competing with the Westtones and Sures that came out at the time. And yeah, I think for the time, I think it was pretty decent. So yeah, I'm just going to put it here in the C tier. Again, don't remember too much, but I don't remember being bad or anything. I just remember it being just okay. So for that price back then. So that's where it belongs, I think, in the C tier. Okay, so the TA Audio Monarch Mark IVs, I'm going to put in the C tier because like I just heard this recently. Honestly, I don't like them as much as the Monarch Mark IIs. The Mark IIs are an IEM I actually owned for a couple of years, so I know them pretty well. I like them better than pretty much all the other Monarchs. Mark IVs, the problem is that there's a little bit too much bass, and the bass is really not that great quality. It's got like a kind of a bloated bass signature, I feel. I mean, it's still got the U shape of the Monarch series, but I just feel like it has a little bit too much bass for my liking, and the bass is not really that high quality. And also has a bass boost switch, but I felt like with the bass boost switch on or off, either way, there was a little bit too much bass for me. And it's not really high quality enough. So it ends up just kind of drowning out some of the mids for me. So yeah, I don't really like the TA Audio Monarch Mark IVs that much. Like, it's okay. That's why I put in the C tier. It's not like bad, but it's yeah, I didn't really like them all that much actually. So I know there are a lot of people that do like the Monarch Mark IVs, but for me, just very so-so. So I'm gonna put it here in the C tier. Definitely, I didn't like it as much as the tuning on the Mark IIs. I felt like, yeah, Mark IVs, too much bass bloat for me. Also in the C tier, I'm gonna put the Campfire Solaris. This is the original Solaris. which retailed for I think $1,500 US. Yeah, it's just okay. It's got a V-shaped sound signature for sure. Like definitely you will hear the bass elevated on this one. Again, it's not super high quality bass, but then again, given the price point, I mean, it's fine, I guess. And yeah, upper mids are elevated a bit for sure, and treble's a little bit weird because the lower treble is actually kind of recessed a bit, and then the brilliance level of the upper treble is elevated. So it's kind of like the treble is a little bit odd because you hear some instruments and not others. So yeah, a little bit of an odd treble sound signature, elevated upper mids and elevated bass. So it's got yeah, that V-shaped sound signature with the kind of a strange treble tuning, but overall it's okay. Like, yeah, it's the soundstage and detail is pretty much what you would expect at its price point. So that's why it belongs in the C tier, you know. It doesn't do anything above its price point, but it's not like a badly tuned IEM either. I think it's totally fine for listening, so I'm gonna put it here. The ADV M5, this one retails for $500. Yeah, it's okay. I think I remember this one being like decent details, soundstage, fairly balanced sounding, slight emphasis on maybe the mids, but it's not like too special. I didn't remember this one standing out too much. I know this is kind of a custom fit IEM, but and this is from a brand that's like honestly not too well known. But yeah, it was just kind of okay for me. So I'm gonna put this one the C tier because it was just okay. It's not bad or anything. Sound was good. Didn't hurt my ears or anything. Yeah, it's well balanced. I think maybe it focused on the mids just a little bit. Maybe the mids were a little bit more forward. Overall, decent detail and soundstage. But yeah, didn't really stand out too much for me. So I'm gonna put this one, yeah, kind of more like the average tier for me. 7 Hertz Timeless 2. This IEM retails for just $230, so it's one of those budget IEMs. It's just fine. I didn't think there's anything special about this one. I know I can't fault it too much for the price. I mean, it's only $230, right? I can't be too hard on it because there's nothing wrong with it. You know, it's got kind of a U-shaped tuning, I would say. So you know, it's well balanced for like a lot of genres. That means that it has slightly elevated bass and treble, but nothing's like too harsh or peaky. Yeah, doesn't sound bad. Just doesn't sound special either, you know. I mean, I guess I can't expect too much out of IEM at $200, but yeah, doesn't really stand out too much. Details, resolutions probably around what you expect for a sub $500 IEM, but tuning's okay, you know, this U-shaped tuning, and I think most people will enjoy it. You know, if you're looking for a budget IEM, you know, Timeless 2 is fine. You know, it's not like great or anything. I mean, if you pay just a little bit more and you get something like the FLC Shirasawa's, for example, you pay just a little bit more for that. I think that's just $250. That's just not too much more. You get a much better IEM, in my opinion. But Timeless 2 is just okay. Yeah, it's just okay. Nothing special. Kiwi Ears Orchestra 2. This is a $350 IEM from the Chief Vibe maker Kiwi Ears, who usually makes budget IEMs. This is fine. It's tuned fairly well. Basically, it's like one of those soft V-shaped balance tunings. So it's a tuning that would satisfy most people, I think. It's not like especially exciting, but it's fine. You know, most people will like it, I think. Yeah, that's really I got to say about it. I mean, what else do I say about it? I mean, it's fine for the price, you know. This is one of those budget IEMs that just like, yeah, it's $350. It sounds like a budget IEM, but it, you know, nothing special to me about this one. It's fine. Yeah, it doesn't sound bad, and so I can't put it in D tier, but it doesn't sound like, you know, there's nothing that like really stands out to me about it, so I can't really put it above the C tier either. So it's just kind of okay, which is where the C tier is. It's just kind of okay, you know, average. So yeah, I'll put the Kiwi Orchestra 2 here. It's well balanced. The tuning's nice. It's got, you know, okay amount of detail and soundstage for the price, and probably what you would expect basically for a sub $500 IEM. Okay, so the Sennheiser IE900, these are the flagship IEMs for Sennheiser, of course the well-known German audio company, mostly well-known for open back headphones. But yeah, they make IEMs too, and the IE900 are their flagship. So I owned this before, and I think it retails for around like $1,500 originally. Now it's been dropped down to $1,000. I do think that this is probably more like a $1,000 IEM. If this originally retailed for $1,500, then that's kind of overpriced, to be honest. But around $1,000, I think that this is probably around this tier, the $1,000 IEM tier. The technicals on it are probably what you would expect out of a $1,000 IEM. Like I'm talking about the competitors, probably be like Dunu Glacier, TR Audio Monarchs, Campfire Andromeda, like that level. The technicalities are pretty much on par with those. So mids and treble are pretty okay on these, like, you know, nothing too special because it's actually very V-shaped. So the treble's okay. The mids are a little bit recessed because it is V-shaped. Now the thing about the i900s that does stand out is the bass. So this is a single dynamic driver IEM. The bass on it is actually quite good. I remember the bass being like probably one of the best bass I've felt for this price range. So for under $2,000, this is probably some of the best bass I've ever heard. So yeah, that's really, really, like, it's got both quantity and quality basically. So I think even though it's not strictly a bass head IEM, I would recommend it to bass heads because yeah, for under $2,000, the bass on this is probably one of the best that you can find. So yeah, I'll put it in the C tier just because I don't think it's above average in terms of the value or technicals or anything. The bass is actually quite good on it, and that's probably the only thing that I'll say stands out about the IE900 is the bass. But yeah, it's a decent V-shaped IEM with pretty nice bass, I'd say. So yeah, I'll put it in this tier. Also in the C tier is Canera Odin. This one I feel like, yeah, it's pretty well tuned. It's like a U-shaped type tuning. So you got a bit of a bass push, and then kind of a scooped mid-range, and then you got your your treble. Upper mids is a bit pushed up as well. It's fine for what it is. It's $800, so I have to say it's not like super expensive or anything. And I would say roughly the sound signature is kind of like that of the TA Audio Monarchs. So it's actually undercutting the Monarchs by a few $100. But yeah, overall, I would say this reminds me of the Monarch Mark IVs, I would say, because it does have a bit of a bigger bass push than Monarch Mark IIs do. And I haven't heard Monarch Mark III, but yeah, maybe closer to Monarch Mark IVs. Now, it might be the Monarch Mark IIIs, actually, because I think the Monarch Mark IIIs are basically Monarch Mark IIs, but with more of a bass push, which might be what Canera Odin actually is. So it could be like Monarch Mark III, actually. But yeah, I think this is pretty close to the TA Audio Monarch Mark III or IVs, which I put in the C tier as well. So anyways, that's what this one will belong, because it's pretty much on the same tier as the TA Audio Monarchs and fairly similar tuning to it, the U-shaped tuning. So it's okay. You know, it's not going to be the most detailed or whatever, but it's a decent tuning that will work for you know, a lot of pop genres, I would say. So for wireless earbuds in the C tier, I have a few. So I have the Marshall Motif ANC by Marshall, the guitar amp company that also makes headphones and earbuds. Yeah, this retailed for $200 US when it was first released. I think for the price is fine. I like the sound quality of it. It's not going to be the most detailed wireless earbuds out there. But it's good enough, and the sound signature is going to be, as you would expect, good for rock music and stuff. It's pretty dynamic, has decent amount of energy, so it's like a slightly V-shaped, I would say, or pretty V-shaped, I should say, because it does have a decent amount of bass and treble. So it's really good for energetic genres. If you like to listen to energetic genres, a lot of bass and treble, yeah, then these ones are pretty good. I would say the ANC and noise cancellation, it's there. It's not the best. I would say the main thing is the sound quality. I would say is good for listening to rock music and energetic tracks. So yeah, basically, as you would expect from Marshall, right? They do tend to make their headphones and wireless earbuds more towards rock music, but this one will work for energetic tracks and music as well, because it does have that V-shaped tuning, and it's got very good clarity, I would say. So yeah, I mean, for what it is and for the price, I think these are pretty decent and solid. So I put it in the C tier here. All right, so next is the Klipsch T52 by the speaker company Klipsch, which used to make yeah, some IEMs and headphones, and I'm not actually sure if they still make wireless earbuds, but they used to make wireless earbuds like this. And it was okay as well. I think like they basically tried to copy the Sony 1000 XM series by making just some, basically the mainstream consumer type of tuning, which is like a V tuning, right? Or Samsung Galaxy Buds as well, like the Harman type of tuning, which is essentially V-shaped tuning. So I think the tuning will satisfy most users. It's not the best you can get in terms of resolution or clarity or detail on a wireless earbud, and it retailed for $300 back then. Noise cancellation is also not really that great. I mean, they're not really that type of tech company, right? They're not Bose or Sony when it comes to that. But sound quality is decent, you know. I would say it's fairly mid for a wireless earbuds, and the C tier is the mid tier. So that's pretty much where I'll put it here, because I just found like sound quality is okay, you know. It'll satisfy most people. It's not the best. It's not bad either. So I think that's where this tier would be. So yeah, it's going the mid tier here. But one thing I always have to give props to Klipsch for is the appearance and design of their products. So their speakers and everything all look really nicely, like mid-century, like 1950s, 1960s style. And yeah, that's what these earbuds actually kind of look like, a Zippo lighter, right? So I do like the design. So Klipsch has always been pretty good on design, I think, with their products, and their earbuds are no exception. Okay, so also in the C tier, I'm going to put the Technics AZ80, which is their previous flagship wireless earbuds. Now they have the AZ100, which I haven't tried before. But yeah, their AZ80, what can I say about this one? Sound quality is pretty good. Definitely a improved step up from their AZ60s, that's for sure. You guys know I put the AZ60s in the D tier because the bass was just way too muddy and sounded really incoherent and stuff. Yeah, the AZ80s, definitely an improvement. It's better sound quality, of course, more clarity and everything. The bass bump is still there, but at least the bass is good quality, like better quality in the AZ60s, so it's not quite as muddy. Doesn't quite bleed into the mids as much, and sounds a little bit more coherent than the AZ60s. Noise cancellation is actually surprisingly pretty decent with these as well. So yeah, I was surprised by the noise cancellation actually. But the thing is, it's really not my sound signature, right? I don't like the V-shaped sound signature as much, and that's really what these are. This is another one of those V-shaped sound signature wireless earbuds, which, yeah, a lot of wireless earbuds tend to have that because it's a more mainstream type of product than IEMs. Yeah, I think it's fine. Again, I'll put this in the C tier here. I don't think it's necessarily like, it's just the tuning I don't really like. But the technicals are there. It is their previous flagship, so retailed, yeah, I think for like $300 or something like that. Now you can get it cheaper. So I think the AZ60s are fine. Not my favorite earbuds, but I can respect the decent noise cancellation and the technicalities of it. Okay, so next up, also in the C tier, is the Final Audio Z8000 Mark IIs, which originally retailed for $400 US. Yeah, that's right. It was really expensive before. You can find it discounted online easily now, but at the price it retailed for, definitely it was a bit overpriced. The sound quality is quite good, but I don't think it's a significant improvement over the ZE3000. I think the sound quality compared to the ZE3000 is quite similar. It's got this nice type of neutral, type of balanced frequency response that you don't usually see on wireless earbuds, actually. Most wireless earbuds have a V-shaped or a bass bump, right? But for the Final Audio Z3000 and 8000s, it's actually fairly like lean and neutral and balanced sounding. So that's what I like about it. I like that Final Audio decided to not be the type of mainstream tuning that a lot of wireless earbuds are. So if you're like an audiophile, you appreciate reference type sound, I think the Z8000 Mark IIs come close to that. Noise cancellation is not very good. Honestly, the price premium that you're paying over the Z3000 is not worth it just for the noise cancellation, because it doesn't really cancel that much noise. That's the thing. So the noise cancellation tech isn't very good on these, but the sound quality is, you know, pretty good and fairly detailed. And I do like the fact that they use like a flatter, more balanced tuning compared to most wireless earbuds. So anyways, I can't put it higher than C tier because of the I don't think you get very good value out of it. But at the same time, it's not like a bad wireless earbud or anything. I mean, this sounds pretty good. So I think I'll just leave it here in the C tier because, yeah, I think that's where it belongs here. Okay, so another one, the C tier, there's going to be quite a few wireless earbuds on this tier because honestly, I feel that's where most of them belong, is the Audio-Technica TWX9s, which are their flagship wireless earbuds. They have quite a few, a lot of different models. This is their flagship, I believe, retailed for originally $300 US. Yeah, these ones are fine. Again, I think these ones, like, it's got like the little stems coming out of the earbuds, like with AirPods. I call this like kind of the AirPod design. I personally don't like it that much, but okay, whatever. They want to use these. Noise cancellation is actually pretty good. So pretty decent noise cancellation, and the sound quality is fine. It's like what you would expect from the $300 wireless earbuds, and I would say fairly similar to Technics AZ80, which I talked about already. So it's got this V-shaped sound signature again, where you have an elevated bass and elevated treble, mids are a bit recessed, and this is just common among wireless earbuds because they're catering to mainstream. Yeah, it's fine. That's what I can say. The AZ80, the Technics AZ80 and the Audio-Technica TWX9 are fairly similar, I would say, both in sound quality and technical performance, sound signature, even noise cancellation performance. I think these two are pretty similar. So yeah, I would put it on the same level as the Technics AZ80, which is also the C tier. So that's where this one will go as well. Another feature I forgot to mention about these is that they have a UV sterilization feature, which will kind of clean out the earbuds, and that's pretty cool. I don't think many other wireless earbuds have that feature. So that's a pretty unique feature of the Audio-Technicas. So just got to mention that. That is kind of cool. Okay, also on the C tier is the very famous and popular Sony WF-1000 XM3s. I haven't heard the other ones, the XM4s, XM5s, but I'm sure it's not too different. Yeah, the XM3s came out a while ago. I had these for a while. Again, they're okay. Like the sound signature is just like a lot of the other ones in this tier. Like it's got the pushed up bass and yeah, a little bit pushed up treble just to make it sound more V-shaped. And this is what the mainstream audience likes, right? They like to have their bass and they like to have their treble. For me personally, I don't like this sound signature as much because it's too much on the wireless earbuds. Like they push up the bass too much, and the same thing happens with Sony's. Yeah, the Sony's, they just push up the bass too much and it's a little bit too warm for my liking. But at the same time, the sound, the actual detail and everything's okay. And the noise cancellation is superb because that's what Sony actually is very good at when it comes to the wireless stuff. So yeah, very, very good noise cancellation. Sound quality will satisfy most people, even though for me the bass is a little bit too much and bloated. But I think for other people, you know, it's fine. So yeah, again, this will go in the C tier just like a lot of the other similar, I would say, wireless earbuds with this kind of sound signature. Okay, so the Campfire Claras, I'm going to put this in the B tier. Yeah, so we're starting off the B tier now. And yeah, what I put this in the B tier is what I consider to be above average, I would say. Definitely one of the better IEMs I've heard, especially for Campfire. I think this is one of Campfire's best IEMs, in my opinion. Very, very energetic sounding, very lively. Definitely, like, it's got... I think if you like the Andromedas, you'll also like the Claras as well, because the Andromedas kind of have this V shape to it, right? It's got the bass and the treble energy. Clara just kind of pushes it to the next level. Also got the nice upper mids and as well. So you got a little bit of a mid push, but you also got the same energy that you get from Andromedas, and also better clarity, resolution, and soundstage than Andromedas. So I think this is probably one of Campfire's best IEMs, in my opinion. It's got the technicalities. Compared to other 2K IEMs, I think it's right up there with any of them. And yeah, if you were looking for a nicely dynamic, lively sounding IEM in the 2K category, I think the Claras are definitely worth your time. Okay, so Campfire Andromedas. Yeah, this is the 2020 version, I believe. Just a slight improvement over the original. Yeah, I think that if you like your IEMs highly energetic and lively, then the Andromedas are always a good choice. It's V-shaped, but it's not like the Mest Mark III that I talked about, right? Where I thought it was like, you know, that was like way too much treble, or the Mext, which has way too much bass. No, I think Andromeda does it right, where you have like elevated bass and elevated treble enough to add the energy and excitement and the dynamic tone, but it's not like drowning out the mids or anything. Like it still feels like pretty well tuned. And for the price at $1,100 US when this came out, it's good. I mean, yeah, I would say it's this one is probably the most popular campfire IEM is the Andromedas. That's why they have so many revisions of it. And yeah, this is a good one to pick up. I mean, you can honestly find them pretty nicely secondhand because they're so popular. You can find them easily discounted. And yeah, if you're just looking for a fun pair of IEMs, right, one that you makes you tap your foot to the music and everything, then Andromedas are always a really nice choice to pick up, I think. Okay, let's keep going with the Andromedas here. I have the gold edition here, which I tried out recently, that came out for the 10th anniversary. This is significantly more expensive than the original Andromedas, $2,500 US. Of course, the original Andromedas are the better value, but you always talk about diminishing returns when you go up the chain, right? So yeah, this one is also good. If you're looking for a nice upgrade to Andromedas, like, okay, I know like it's like double the price or more than double the price, but you also get a significant increase in resolution, soundstage, detail retrieval, technicalities, but you want to keep the tuning of the original like Andromeda 2020s, then yeah, the gold edition is a nice pickup as well. So it basically preserves the energetic fun tuning of the Andromedas. So you have like a little bit elevated bass, a little bit elevated treble, a lot of dynamics. You want to keep that, but just take it to the next level, then the Andromeda Gold Edition is a good pickup. Obviously, the originals are still the better value, but if you want to upgrade, then yeah, you can pick up the Gold Edition. And if you want, more mids, then you just get the Clara instead. So that's in my opinion. I think it's actually pretty close between the Clara and the yeah, and this one in terms of technicalities. But this is definitely more of a limited edition. That's why there's a little bit of a price premium on this one for sure. Okay, so also on the B tier, I would put the 64 Audio Tia Trio. I owned this set for like a brief bit, and by brief I mean like really just like a week or so. Yeah, honestly, like it's a good set. It's not personally my favorite tuning. It's definitely spicy in the treble. So I find like with 64 audios, like tubeless IEMs, like the Tia IEMs, yeah, they generally have very, very good soundstage, but they're also kind of hot in the treble. So this one definitely had like that treble peak, which I didn't like too much because it was a bit harsh for me. Had kind of lean bass, and then the mids were okay. I think the mids were actually pretty good actually on these for the price. So yeah, I would put this in the B tier actually. I think it's technically a pretty solid IEM for the price. I think it retails for $2,300 or something. Soundstage is actually quite good for that. So I would say, yeah, the mids are actually pretty solid. Soundstage is one of the best I've heard in a 2K IEM, and treble is on the hot side. But some people might like it if they're treble heads. So yeah, overall, I'd probably put this in the B tier here. I think this is technically a very, very good IEM for the 2K price range. Right, so I just talked about the Tia Trios. Now I'm going to talk about the 64 Audio flagship, the Fortes, which have been out for a while. Essentially, these are like the Trios. Sound signature is very similar to the Trios. Like it's got the lean bass, and the mids are a little bit forward, especially upper mids, and that's fine. I mean, the mids are pretty solid. And the treble is definitely a little bit peaky and hot. So 64 Audio Tia Fortes are also like that. And it's just that these ones are like the upgraded version of the Tia Trios. They're like the Tia Trio on steroids, right? So you thought the soundstage was good on the Trios? Well, the Fortes take it up to another level. One of the widest sound stages I've ever heard on an IEM. Yeah, so for soundstage, it's really top tier. Treble is very good, although it's a bit harsh. It can be a bit harsh for some people because it is definitely hot and a bit peaky. Bass is lean, and mids are quite good. So overall, very similar sound signature to the Tia Trios. It's just these ones are the upgraded version, essentially. So yeah, it's a flagship 64 Audio. And because I put Trio in the B tier, I'm going to put Forte in the same tier. It's pretty much just the upgraded Trios. So it's got the exact same strengths and weaknesses of the Trios. If you like the Trios, you'll like the Fortes. so next is the Noble Audio Cons, which I also put in this tier as well. I think these were probably the most expensive IEMs I bought at the time, just when I was kind of beginning to get into IEMs more. So yeah, at the time, yeah, the Cons were probably the best IEMs I ever owned. Very good technicalities, I would say. Soundstage is very nice. The bass is lean, and treble is a little bit spiky, I would say. So I think this is just Noble's sound signature. They usually go with like this hotter treble and leaner bass. Mid presentation was very good, as I remember. So overall, you know, very good IEM for the price, I think. So technicalities is there. It's got the sound stage, mid detail, treble detail. Bass is lean but well textured. Yeah, it just I didn't like the tuning. Like I probably like the tuning's okay, but I didn't like the hot treble, and I didn't like the lean bass as much. I felt like, yeah, I know this is supposed to be the successor to the Katanas, I think, but yeah, it was maybe a little bit too lean on the bass, and treble's a little bit too pushed up for me. But technicalities wise, I think this is one of the best IEMs in the 2K price range. Okay, so right after the Cons, I'm going to put the Kublai Cons in the same tier because honestly, they're not too different. Like the Kublai Cons, the soundstage is a bit wider. The bass is, I mean, the bass is a little bit better as well. It has a bone conduction driver. That's the extra difference with the Kublai Cons, but almost they're similar. You know, there's not like a huge difference between Cons and Kublai Cons. Yes, Kublai Cons are technically a little bit better, but they're similar, and you can see that reflected in the price as well. The Kublai Cons are just $200 more expensive, not a huge difference. So yeah, everything I said about the Cons kind of applies to the Kublai Cons as well. I still think the bass is a little bit too lean. Soundstage, again, is very, very good. The Cons were already quite good, but then the Kublai Cons, again, one of the best soundstage I've seen, one of the widest I've seen for the 2K price point. Yeah, overall, you get pretty good mids, and treble is still, you know, a little bit hot and peaky on that side, but that's just a lot of Noble IEMs are just like that, I think. So yeah, Kublai Khan, I'm gonna put it in the same tier here because honestly, it's just like a slightly upgraded Khan. That's really it. I like the design of the Kublai Khan a lot better though. Like the resin and the shell. The design of that dragon, yeah, that's actually a big upgrade over the original Khans, in my opinion. Okay, so next up is the Noble Viking Ragnars, which is Noble's previous flagship. Their current flagship is now the Kronos, but their previous flagship for a few years was the Viking Ragnar, which essentially is like a very, very souped up version of the Khans and Kublai Khans. So everything I said about the Khans and Kublai Khans also apply to the Viking Ragnars, just pushed up to the next level. Viking Ragnars, of course, technicalities are much superior to the Khans and Kublai Khans. The layering, the soundstage, detail, resolution, texture, they're all on another level. But that's what you would expect. This is a $4,000 IEM, right? But the tuning is mostly similar to the Khans and Kublai Khans. Like you got that lean bass still, you still get that hot treble, and yeah, slightly forward upper mids, and that's really it. You know, you get pretty much the same tuning with Khan, Kublai Khan, and then Viking Ragnar. It just kind of just goes like, yeah, one step after another at the evolution. Yeah, tuning's fairly similar to Khans and Kublai Khans, just with much better technicalities, right? So you got, you know, even wider soundstage, and you get even better texture, even more resolution. So I'm gonna put Viking Ragnar in the same tier. I just personally am not like a huge fan of Noble's tuning in this sense, right? Where they have the lean bass and the hot treble. Yeah, not like a huge fan of that. But yeah, that's why these ones go in the B tier for me. Honestly, I don't like the tuning as much, but the technicalities, I have to appreciate the technicalities because Noble's IEMs are all very good at technicalities. I think the detail, soundstage, resolution has always been good for their price point. So anyways, this one goes in the same tier. Also in the B tier, I'm going to put the AAW Canary. Yeah, it's got kind of a weird name, but it's a Chinese brand that's more popular in Asia, I think. Yeah, this one was tuned pretty well. So I remember when I tried it, I was like, yeah, that's pretty balanced tuning. You know, it's got like a soft V shape, I think. So fairly balanced, a little bit of a slight bass elevation, slight treble, and upper mids. And yeah, overall, fairly well balanced type of tuning that I think most people would like. And yeah, nothing is like really overly elevated or recessed. And decent amount of detail. I mean, you're talking about $2,000, and I think, yeah, around this price range is about where it hits. So $2,000. overall, yeah, I expected the detail resolution soundstage to be around 2,000 bucks, around this price range, but the tuning is just fairly well done. So I think I'll put this in the B tier here because it's probably one of the better tuned IEMs I've heard around this price range. So yeah, the AEW Canary. Also, it's got a pretty cool looking shell in my opinion. So yeah, I'll put that one here. Also in the B tier, I'm gonna put the Obravo EAMT2Cs. This is definitely what I would describe as a very unique IEM. So Obravo is a Taiwanese audio company, makes IEMs, and yeah, they're the only IEM company I know of that uses AMT drivers. So AMT means air motion transformer. It's a type of driver that you see in usually very high-end speakers. Sometimes in headphones, like the headphone, head audio headphone, not very often though. And so far as I know, these are the only IEM company that has it in their IEMs. So, and I think they have a patent on it too. So they use AMT drivers, and they use a neodymium dynamic driver. Interestingly, you would think that because of that, the treble and the bass should be the standouts, right? But they're not. Actually, I don't think the bass and the treble really stand out to me about this. The thing that stands out to me the most is the mids. So that's the very interesting thing about this one. It's unique. It has a wooden back. It comes in several different materials. It goes into your ear more like an earphone than an IEM. Yeah, it's more like an earphone than traditional IEM. Just looks very unique. And driver technology is unique. It needs a lot of power to drive. And the mids kind of stand out to me a lot about this because I feel like the mids are very nicely textured and almost like electrostatic in a sense. Not exactly the same as electrostatic, but almost like the electrostatic type of velvety texture for the mids. Soundstage is pretty good. I would say one of the best soundstage I've ever heard in an IEM came from these Obravos, which is very surprising when you consider the size of these are not even that big. But somehow they're able to get such a huge soundstage out of it. So yeah, for those reasons, even though the mids, even though the bass and the treble don't really stand out for me, the mids and the soundstage are definitely above average and unique. So anyways, I'm going to put this one in the B tier. It retailed for originally $3,000, which was one of the most expensive IEMs back in the day when it came out. So yeah, I think that's where I'll put these. Yep, definitely very unique. Okay, so next up is the FiO FX17, which are FiO's flagships. And I think these ones are pretty good. I actually like them. So in the 1K to 2K range, I think these are probably some of the best IEMs I've heard. Does it compete above that? I don't think so, but definitely in the below 2K category, I think it's one of my favorites. Yeah, it's just really, really well balanced. Like, there's bass, mids, treble. It's never too much. Nothing's too recessed. Nothing's really too elevated. It's generally like a very, very safe tuning, I would say. Very balanced tuning. It's not like neutral, flat, or reference or anything, but it's imagine like if you guys have tried the Camper 622B. It's kind of like that. It's a very, very safe tuning that doesn't try to do anything too much or too little. Just a great all-arounder. At the same time, nothing really stands out too much about it because of that, right? It's because it's such a safe tuning, because it's so well balanced, you won't hear anything like that really stands out. So it's not going to be like the bass is really, really punchy or the treble is sharp or sparkling or anything. It's not like that. The mids won't wow you. So nothing really wows you about this IEM, but at the same time, nothing really disappoints either. So it's kind of like really in that safe zone. And I think like for the 1K to 2K range, yeah, probably these are pretty good, you know, definitely in the above average category. So that's where I'll place it. Technicalities, definitely, I think at this price range is still one of the best as well. So yeah, overall, very, very well balanced IEM. I don't think anyone would be offended at the tuning of this one because it just generally serves to please almost everyone with the tuning. So, but because of that, it also means that it doesn't really wow with any one aspect of it. It's just a very, very safe sounding IEM. Also, the faceplate is a bit boring and uninspiring. So, I mean, look at it, right? It's kind of boring that way, but MMCX connectors as well, but yeah. I think otherwise it's okay. Very solid IEM for the price. Okay, next up is the Campfire Alien Brain, which I think is a really good IEM as well. This is one of Campfire's best. You know, I said the Clara was tuned really well. I think the Alien Brain is tuned really well too. It's definitely got like noticeable bass and treble, so it's a little bit V-shaped, but not too much. It's actually very, very well balanced. In fact, it does kind of remind me of the FX17 I just talked about. Like, yeah, it's just a very well balanced IEM that will work with almost every genre. So honestly, I would say going between FX17 and Alien Brain, it's pretty close between those two in terms of being just a well-rounded, very, very balanced sounding IEM that has, good amount of bass, mids, treble, that will please most people. Technicalities about what you would expect for its price. Actually, maybe even better because, yeah, honestly, I've this is only $1,000, right? Yeah, like I don't think the difference between this and FX17 is honestly that much, even though FX17 is a little bit more expensive. I think, yeah, the technicalities are pretty good, pretty solid. So overall, yeah, I really like the Alien Brain. I think this is one of Campfire's best tuned IEMs in terms of being very, very safely tuned. It's not like it's not really distinctly V-shaped like the Andromedas are, or the Claris for that matter. Not quite as energetic as the Claris, but at the same time, this is one of those sets where most people will enjoy it because it's so well balanced. And again, nothing will stand out to you about this one because it's another one of those kind of safer tunings. So nothing will really like kind of wow you, but at the same time, it's like, again, you want to play it safe and just be a fairly well balanced set that will work with most genres, then this is it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put this one in the B tier as well. Very, very solid for the price. Okay, so next up is the TA Audio Monarch Mark IIs, which I have talked about before on my channel because it's the IEM I've owned the longest. So I know this IEM the most because I've owned it like 3 years before. Yeah, these were my main IEMs for 3 years for a good reason because honestly, just like the FX17 and the Alien Brain I just talked about, this one is also a nice all-arounder too. It's got like a gentle U shape, which is pretty much what FX17 and Alien Brain were like too. This gentle U shape means that it has a bit of a bass boost, a bit of a treble boost, but it's not too much, not too elevated. The mids are also pretty nice. Texture, layering, detail, yeah, it's all there in decent amounts. Another one of those IEMs where people will be like, if you haven't listened to an IEM like, like one of those top tier IEMs, then this will be good, Of course, if you come from a top tier IEM, you'd be like, oh, there's nothing special about this one. Okay, but if you're going up from like a $500 IEM, this is $1,000, then this will be a pretty decent upgrade. Because when I heard this, I was like, yeah, this one is a really nice all-arounder. Of course, nothing stands out too much, like bass, mids, and treble, because they're all fairly well balanced. It doesn't try to make anything too recessed or too extended or anything like that. It's just another one of those IEMs that I felt like is a pretty safe tuning that will work well for most genres. So yeah, FX17, Alien Brain, Monarch Mark II, all kind of in the same range, I would say, in terms of the tuning. It's just very safe, very balanced, just good for most genres. Yeah, and for this price, it's not too bad. At the time, this was expensive for me, but now I got more into the IEM hobby, and $1,000 is actually not that expensive, to be honest. So yeah, I would say still pretty solid for the price. And for that, I'll give it B tier. Yeah, it's just, I've had this for a long time because for a long time I was like, yeah, it's just good for most genres I listen to, and it's definitely not the last word on technicalities, but it's good enough, for this price range for $1,000, pretty good, pretty solid for that price, right? Still, I would think if you're going for a $1,000 IEM, this is still one of the ones that would please people the most, I think. Okay, so also on the B tier is the Canera Loki, which I had the opportunity to try out at an audio meetup. Yeah, so this one, I like the tuning on it. It's got like a gentle U shape, just like with the Monarch Mark IIs and the FX17 Alien Brain. Yeah, so this gentle U shape means that it has like a slightly boosted treble, slightly boosted bass. And I felt like this one overall was good. It's well balanced and inoffensive in terms of the tuning. Technicalities about what you would expect for the 3K price point, actually. Yeah. So, yeah, technicalities are probably about what you would expect for the price point, and tuning is quite good. The only thing is I felt like the mids, especially the lower mids, was a bit too recessed for me. So I think for things like male vocals, for example, it was maybe a little bit too recessed. So I think in general the tuning is good, but just having the mids a little bit more forward would be nice. They were a little bit too recessed for me, especially the lower mids. But technicalities were there. And other than like the recessed lower mids, I think the rest of the IEM was pretty good. So it's tuned pretty well. So I think most people will like this one. It's fairly inoffensive and well balanced in tuning. Okay, also in this tier, I would put the Final VR 3000s. I bought this just because like these were marketed as gaming earphones, and yeah, they're fine for that. But you can also use them for like normal music listening as well. No reason why you can't. They got the typical Final audio look, so they got these angular type of design. A little bit boring actually because these ones are just black. That's it. But still, I mean, they're really good for the price actually. For $90, I mean, you're talking about pretty good value because they're a decent amount of detail. It's got definitely a V-shaped sound signature because they're meant for gaming originally. So gaming, of course, you're going to want more dynamics, so they made it like more V-shaped. But yeah, the sound quality is quite good. I mean, for this price, right? For $90, you get a pretty good amount of detail and decent soundstage out of it. So yeah, that's why it goes in the B tier. You know, I'm saying for the price that you pay for them, $90 MSRP. Yeah, I mean, very good detail, soundstage, and a nice V-shaped sound signature and tuning. So yeah, overall, I'll put the Final VR 3000s here. Okay, A-Full Dawn X is also my B tier because I think this is one of the best sounding IEMs I've heard under $2,000 for its price. And it's only 1,300. I know that's still like not inexpensive, but still for this price point, I think it's one of the best sounding IEMs and actually does punch above its price range, I think. And it's very well tuned. It's another one of those kind of very balanced sounding IEMs with a decent amount of bass and treble, mids. It does, yeah, I think it sounds definitely a little bit fun and dynamic. It's not too boring or anything like that. So yeah, I think it's fairly well tuned. So I do like A-Full Dawn X. This is A-Full's flagship IEM, and I think they're well known for making like budget IEMs. But yeah, I was really impressed with Dawn X. I think that the why this belongs in the A tier because it's one of the best IEMs I've heard in its price range. Like it just punches above its price range, and if you're looking for an IEM under 2K. I think the Dawn X is one of the best picks. Yeah, really nice tuning, good technicalities that punches all above its price point. Like this thing can easily compete with 2K IEMs in my opinion. So yeah, Dawn X because it's I think it's a pretty good value for what it offers at that price point. In terms of value, again, just like with the A-Full Dawn X, I'm gonna put the Let's Shower S12 Pro. So these are only $125 US, and yes, they do punch very high above its price range. Yeah, I think that these sound more like $500, maybe $600 IEMs. I mean, they sound like IEMs 5-6 times its price, to be honest. I'm not saying it's going to compete with IEMs above $1,000 or anything, but you're talking about an IEM that's $125 with a planar magnetic driver that's pretty well tuned. It's fairly well balanced, I would say. It's not neutral. It's not super V-shaped. It's just fairly well balanced. You get a decent amount of bass and treble and mids as well. It's a well balanced IEM in terms of tuning and detail, soundstage. Yeah, everything is just actually technically is just really good for $125. That's why it belongs in the A tier for me. It's like this sounds like an IEM that costs at least 5 times the price, I would say. So yeah, this is like a $100 IEM that sounds like a $500 IEM to me anyways. So yeah, because it hits so hard above its price point, that's why I got to put this in the A tier here. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, part of the tier ranking is going to be based on the value, right, that you get. The value proposition for Let's Shower S12 Pro is incredible. So yeah, here it is. So also in the B tier, I'm going to put the Dita Project M because I think it's fantastic value for the price. At $325 US, this thing sounds more like around $1,000, I would say. Like it really does sound above its price range, and it's a hybrid, I believe, and yeah, like the sound signature is pretty good. It's got more of a neutral type of tuning, I would say. It's a more flatter, neutral type of frequency response. At least that's how I perceived it anyways. I don't know the actual graph for this. But to me, I perceived it more like balanced neutral, you know? So that makes it a fairly actually reference sounding IEM. And honestly, like at that price range, getting in this kind of tuning is pretty nice. And like the detail and resolution soundstage, honestly closer to that of $1,000 IEM than a $300 IEM. So I was pretty impressed with how this performed at its price point. So yeah, that's pretty impressive. So I'm gonna put a project M here. I think more people should talk about it. It's not like a very talked about IEM or anything like that, but I think more people should take a look because it definitely hits above its price range. Pretty good bang for the buck. Okay, so the Oravetti OH700B. I didn't know too much about this brand or Oravetti, but yeah, when I tried these, I thought these were actually pretty good. They retail for around $700, I think, which is not too much actually in the scheme of things. And yeah, like if you compare to some of the other IEMs on this list, you'll see a much more expensive ones. And this one has a little switch actually, if you guys can see in the picture, right? It has a switch to flick up to boost the bass. So it has a bass boost switch essentially. And on the normal mode without the bass boost switch on, it's fairly balanced, I would say. Yeah, it's like got a fairly lean tuning, more towards the neutral side. And then when you flip up the switch, of course, it adds a bass boost. So then it boosts up the bass. Not too much, but definitely you'll hear like a bass bump when you boost it up. And I think both modes are fine. I mean, some people might find the normal mode a little bit too lean sounding, so they flip up the switch and then adds a decent amount of bass, I would say. And then you have a decent bass shelf there. So I would say overall, whether you flip up the bass or not, is pretty well tuned and decent amount of detail for the price, I would say. So yeah, I tend to think of these like, okay, tuning, resolution, and the soundstage is pretty much on par with like something like Monarchs, like T Audio Monarchs, right? So I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And then you have a bass boost switch. So kind of like Monarch Mark IVs in that sense, except in my opinion, this is like, it's better value than Monarch Mark IVs. I mean, Monarch Mark IVs are like, what, $400 more? This does the same thing. So this is just a better value than Monarch Mark IVs because it sounds like, in my opinion, this sounds just as good. It's just, yeah, cheaper, that's it, which is why it's on a higher tier here. Okay, so next is the Let's Shore Ember. And I think this one, just like the S12 Pro, I'll also put it in the same tier because like it is more expensive. It's like $500, which actually makes it one of the more expensive Let's Shore products. Yeah, I mean, it's I haven't heard their flagship, the Cadenzas, but yeah, I'll say this is pretty good. I tried it out. Actually, the Let's Shore representative came into the meetup and he brought a prototype of it. I tried it out. The graph looks a little bit wonky, but when you listen to it, it's actually fairly neutral sounding. So it's got a, not exactly flat, but it's definitely more neutral sounding. So it doesn't feel like it boosts up any frequencies unnaturally or anything like that. It's also not really V-shaped in my opinion. It's just pretty flat neutral type of IEM. So despite what the graphs may tell you, yeah, this is to me, what I heard is it's a fairly neutral reference sounding IEM and pretty good for the price, you know, $500. It has above average, I would say, detail for that price, which so that's why I'm putting it in the B tier here. So like most of Let's Shore products I find, yeah, they punch above their price range a bit, so I'll put it here. And yeah, I believe this one uses a newer planar magnetic driver. It uses like a 14 millimeter planar magnetic or something. That's kind of a newer design. So anyways, this one does not have the treble peaks associated with some of the old planar drivers. At least I didn't hear like that much of a treble peak, so I was okay with this one. Okay, so I'm going to put the BGVP Solomon in this tier as well. So this is the flagship of the BGVP, it's a Chinese IEM brand, and I think this is so far the only IEM I tried from them. But it's good. It's like, it's a V-shaped IEM, and I can clearly hear it. It's very energetic sounding, but it's done fairly well, I would say. Actually kind of reminds me a bit of Canera Loki. Not quite as technically up there as Loki, but it's close. And for $1,300, I mean, yeah, it's actually like, I would say competes with some $2,000 tier IEMs. So yeah, this is pretty good. You know, like for me, it's like, yeah, Canera Loki, it kind of gets there. Eiffel Dawn X, you know, it's kind of like really around the same tier in sound quality as that, which is a similar price. You know, Dawn X, I put this in the B tier, and I'm gonna put Solomon in the B tier as well, because like, yeah, I think this and Dawn X pretty much punch in the $2,000 range, so above average technicalities, and it's a really nice energetic sounding IEM, I'd say, for the price. Okay, so this is a Chikyu Sakai Cosmos. It's kind of this obscure Japanese brand, retailed I think for around 1,100 US. Sounded pretty good, to be honest, to me, anyways. Because this is like a mid forward IEM, and I do like those because it does emphasize the vocals more. Definitely still got bass. Treble's a little bit recessed. Actually reminds me a lot of the Dita Perpetua, to be honest, because it's leaning more towards the neutral side. So it's like leaning neutral, but with like a slight bass lift, and that's fine. But yeah, a little bit mid forward, and that's actually what I like. It's good for vocal tracks and stuff. The only thing is like it's not really energetic. Treble is not is actually a little bit recessed, you know. So people who are expecting more treble might not get it out of this one. But for me, I liked it. You know, I think it's actually above average for me. You know, I enjoyed it more than a lot of other IEMs, and yeah, obscure brand, but hey, I think this one is pretty decent. Yeah, I would say if you like, it did remind you of Dita Perpetua because it does have like the kind of relaxed tuning to it, where it's like close to neutral, but kind of has this recessed treble, so it doesn't get peaky. And I don't like my peaky treble actually, so I actually do like that. do like the rolled off peaks. So yeah, for me, a little bit mid forward, just like Perpetua is as well. So I like that. Of course, I don't think it's on the same level as Perpetua in terms of detail, but it's still good. You know, detail's decent, and yeah, soundstage is actually around the same as Perpetua, I'd say. Aegis 2, and this one honestly surprised me. You know, I've listened to a lot of Noble IEMs, like you saw a lot on this list already, and the Aegis 2 is not like any other Noble IEM because it actually has a fairly, you know, substantial quantity of bass, I would say. So it's not too much. I wouldn't say it's for bass heads or anything like that. It's just that it's got bass. You know, all the other Noble IEMs I've listened to kind of has this like lean bass, right? I think because Noble was trying to sound like reference and stuff and trying to be like neutral sounding. But with the Aegis 2, they were just like, they kind of just threw that out. And this is like a very atypical Noble IEM, I'd say. Just because, yeah, it's got bass quantity. And because of that, it's got a lot more energy and dynamic compared to a lot of other Noble IEMs, which makes this a more enjoyable listen. So I would say if you guys don't like Noble IEMs, if you guys have tried a lot of Noble IEMs, you don't like the tuning, try this one because this is not like other Noble IEMs. This is a very fun, energetic sounding Noble. Technicalities are quite good for its price point. The price point is quite good. It's under $2,000, I think. Technicalities are still good. Soundstage is there, just like with other Nobles. And yeah, if you're looking for a very fun sounding, dynamic sounding Noble IEM, then check this one out because I know people might be like, oh, I don't like Noble IEMs. The bass is not there. It's too lean and stuff. Well, check this one out, right? They actually have bass. So yeah, I think this probably has the most bass out of any Noble IEM. In terms of quantity, and the quality is decent. It's not going to be like Mephisto bass or anything like that, but in terms of quantity, it's there. So it's if you're looking for a Noble audio that sounds more fun and energetic and has some bass quantity, check this one out, the Aegis 2. Yeah, I think it's very, very solid IEMs. That's why I actually have to put in the A tier. This one surprised me. One of my favorite tuned Noble IEMs just because it's different than the other Noble IEMs, and I think it's actually absolutely solid for that price. Okay, so for wireless earbuds in the B tier, these are pretty much going to be the rest of the wireless earbuds, by the way, because I don't think any wireless earbud is going to make it into the A tier, just based on the fact that you're generally not getting that much great sound quality from wireless earbuds. There's just a limit, right? Anyways, the rest of the wireless earbuds that I've tried, probably the best ones are going to be here in the B tier, which are above average, which is good for wireless earbuds actually. So the first one to talk about is the Nura Trues. Now these definitely look very interesting. They have like this circular shape, right? They look unique, and they use a special technology. They actually scan your ear, so you download an app and then you take a picture of your ear, and then they'll kind of figure out, the app will kind of figure out the construction of your ear because everyone's ears are different, and then it'll like kind of tailor the sound profile. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah, basically you put these earbuds in your ear after you take a photo or whatever of your ear, and then they'll kind of emit like different pulses and stuff, and they'll kind of figure out the shape of your ear and stuff. It's really, really cool technology, and actually they sound quite good. I was actually pleasantly surprised by it. Yeah, For me, you can actually change the sound signature as well because it comes with the EQ system and everything. But generally, I would say after you do the personalization, it sounded pretty good to me. I'm not going to say they're the last word in resolution or detail or imaging because they're not, but the sound was quite good and surprisingly good for what it was, wireless earbuds. So I used these for a while, and now, interestingly enough, they've been taken over by Denon, with Japanese company that makes a bunch of audio products, right? And now Denon makes the Pearl earbuds now, which actually use Neura's technology. So yeah, technically Neura as a company doesn't exist anymore, but you can still buy their earbuds through Denon because Denon took over them as a company and they kind of incorporated the Neura technology into their earbuds. So if you buy a Denon earbud now, then you're essentially getting the Neura technology, which is pretty cool. Okay, so next is the Razer Hammerhead True Wireless Pros by the gaming company Razer, which are surprisingly quite good. These retail for $100 US originally, which is actually not even that expensive, but then they got discounted to $50, which makes it just an absolute deal. And then I was pleasantly surprised by how good these are. I mean, in terms of sound quality, no, it's not going to rival like the best wireless earbuds on the market or anything, but the sound quality is decent, and yeah, like it's not going to be like the most detail or anything like that compared. It's not going to match like the Sennheiser Momentum Force or anything, but you get a pretty decently balanced sound. It's actually not like a very V-shaped type of tuning. You actually get a pretty decently balanced sound out of it. Not like way too much bass or treble like some of these other wireless earbuds, and noise cancellation is surprisingly quite good. So I remember being kind of very surprised by the noise cancellation technology, the THX technology inside of it. So yeah, I think for the original retail price, it was pretty good, $100. And if you get it for a discounted $50 price, it's an absolute steal. So yeah, that's why this belongs in the B tier. It's actually quite good value, surprisingly, right? For a company like Razer, I didn't expect them to release a pretty decent pair of, like a pretty solid pair of wireless earbuds, and they did. So yeah, props to them. So next up is the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 4s. So these ones are $300 US originally. They're Sennheiser's top wireless earbuds. Yeah, just like what you would expect from a renowned headphone company like Sennheiser, they make some pretty good IEMs and wireless earbuds as well. And yeah, this sound quality is pretty good. Definitely, it's the top tier of wireless earbuds in terms of sound quality, and the balanced tuning, I would say, is pretty good as well. Yeah, you don't expect a company like Sennheiser to make like a crazy, V-shaped type of IEM or anything, or type of tuning, and they don't really do that with this one, right? They make it fairly balanced. Now, there is definitely more bass compared to your typical Sennheiser headphone. That's because the Momentum series for Sennheiser is more mainstream tuned, but it doesn't go crazy with any kind of V-shaped tuning or anything. So it's reasonably well balanced. You got decent bass, mids, and treble all there, and decent amount of detail. Noise cancellation has always been kind of a weak point for Sennheiser stuff, but I think they're getting better every generation and iteration as they kind of improve upon it. But yeah, overall, if you're looking for a well-balanced pair of wireless earbuds that sounds pretty top tier in terms of sound quality, then yeah, the Momentum True Wireless 4s are definitely there. So I would say this is definitely one of the better wireless earbuds on the market. Okay, so next is the Master & Dynamic MW08s from the headphone company Master & Dynamic, which I've owned a few of their products before. And I did really like these as well. I had them for a while. What I like about them, first of all, the appearance. I like the little acetate kind of shell that they have. Makes them look pretty luxury, and I know Master Dynamic, they like to market their products based on their looks and appearance as well, but they also back it up with some pretty good sound quality too. So very decently detailed, I would say on par with Sennheiser actually in terms of the sound quality. So yeah, I think it's fairly decently detailed. Noise cancellation isn't that great. Well, they're not one of those companies, not going to be like Bose or Sony, right, in terms of that technology. So keep that in mind. It's not the worst I've heard, but it's not the best for sure. The noise cancellation could be better. But sound quality is good. It's got a very balanced type of tuning as well, just like with the Sennheiser Momentum Force. So yeah, if you guys are looking for just a reasonably well-balanced tuning, not too much, it's not like a heavy V-shape or anything like that, just a nice little balanced tuning with decent detail. and also good appearance, then the MW08s are good. And what I really like about it is that it doesn't use the touch controls. So I don't like touch controls on wireless earbuds because it's very finicky sometimes. You can accidentally like trigger stuff. What I like about the MW08s is that they put actually tiny physical controls on them, which you'd think, oh, it'll be hard to control because the controls are tiny, but no, it's actually pretty good, and I think it's well thought out. So anyways, I think MW08 is, yeah, on this tier because I do think that for wireless earbuds, yeah, overall, nice sound quality and good tuning. Just the noise cancellation isn't that great. Also, I like the appearance and the physical controls. So overall, pretty good top tier top tier wireless earbud on the market. Okay, next up is the Bang & Olufsen Beoplay EX, which is one of my favorite wireless earbuds. Actually, I know it's expensive. It's $400, one of the most expensive wireless earbuds on the market. You know, that's just par for the course for Bang & Olufsen because they price all their products pretty like at a pretty high level. But in this case, I think it's actually deserving because the sound quality is quite good. One of the best I've heard in wireless earbud. Like very detailed and resolving. Soundstage is pretty decent as well, considering these are wireless earbuds. And yeah, the tuning is very nice as well. It's got like a slight V shape, I would say, to it. It's not like it's not going to be as flat or balanced sounding as a Sennheiser Momentum 4 or as like a Final Audio Z8000, but I kind of like my my tuning with a little bit more bass and treble. So I like to have like a slight V shape, not like a heavy V shape. I don't like that, but just give me like a slight V shape, right? So unfortunately, a lot of wireless earbuds on the market, it's got like too much of a V shape, right? Like the Sony 1000XM3 is too much bass, or like the Technics AZ60 and AZ80 I talked about, right? That's too much for me. But the Bang & Olufsen's Beoplay EX is a slight V shape, right? So it's got like a little bit of a bass push, a little bit of treble, and it's well detailed and kind of refined sounding. And noise cancellation is quite top notch as well. Not going to be the level of Sony or Bose, but it's pretty much right under it in terms of noise cancellation. So overall, I really do like the Beoplay EX. I think it's one of my favorite wireless earbuds on the market, and I've owned them for a few years and still have it now. So yeah, that's saying something, I guess. Okay, next up is the Bowers & Wilkins PI8s. And everything I said about the Beoplay EX can kind of be applied to the PI8s. They're pretty similar, I would say. They both retail for the same price, $400. You know, they're fairly expensive. Sound quality is pretty similar. The PI8s are also quite detailed for a wireless earbud. And the tuning is got that soft V shape again, just like the Beoplay EX. So it's got a little bit of bass push, a little bit of treble, but not too much. The tuning is actually based on the full-size PX8s, which I actually liked as well. So I like the PX8s, and then I also like the PI8s, right? Because the tuning is actually kind of similar. Uses similar drivers as well, just miniaturized on the PI8s. And yeah, I would say overall quite similar to the Beoplay EX. The only difference is that the noise cancellation isn't quite as good as the Beoplay EX, but it's by like maybe like 10% difference, not too much difference. I think the Beoplay EX still has slightly better noise cancellation, but the PI8s are still pretty good noise cancellation, just a little bit behind the Beoplay EXs. Otherwise, it's pretty similar. Like I said, sound quality, tuning, yeah, it's fairly similar to the Beoplay EX. So if you like, I think these two are probably two of the best wireless earbuds on the market. So this is my opinion. Okay, so also on the B tier is going to be the final ZE3000s. Now you might be wondering, why are these on the B tier when the Z8000s, the upgraded version, is on the C tier? Well, the reason why this is higher tier is because it's better value. Like these retail for like half the price of the Z8000 Mark IIs, and the sound quality is pretty similar. Like you upgrade to the Z8000 Mark IIs, you pay like double or almost double. And the sound quality isn't even that different from them. You just get like the noise cancellation out of it. But then the noise cancellation on the Z8000s aren't even that good. So Z3000s are the much better value. The sound quality is pretty much on par with the flagship Z8000s. And to be, just my personal opinion, I like the design of the Z3000s better. Like it's got this like the design has this like angular type of look to it. Yes, it's still like kind of touch sensitive, so I don't like that part. But it doesn't look as weird as the Z8000s. So the Z8000s have like these long sticks. Like if you guys saw that before, right? They have like these long sticks, which I don't like. I don't like the design of the Z8000s. I like the 3000s much better. This is a much better value for your money than the Z8000s because they sound pretty similar to the Z8000s. Got the nice flatter not neutral, but kind of definitely flatter type of tuning, which is good as kind of a reference type of sound, and very well detailed. One of the best, one of the most detailed wireless earbuds in the price range, actually. So yeah, I think Z3000s are an easy recommendation for me for wireless earbuds, especially at this price point if you're looking for sound quality. Okay, also on the B tier is the Moondrop Sparks, which I had a few years back. These retail for only $90. They're not that expensive, and the sound quality is quite good for this price range. So yeah, I'm not gonna say it's like great sound quality on par with some of the other earbuds. Like, it's definitely not at the level of the Beoplay EX or the PI8s, nor is it at the level of the Z3000s either. But it's still pretty good sound quality. I mean, considering it's $90, right? You gotta consider the price here. For its price, it's pretty good. The tuning is well balanced as well. Not like it's like a soft V shape as well, not like heavy V shape or anything. I think it's like more like a Harman-ish tuning, but it's fine. Yeah, overall, it's decent. I mean, it's not like got great noise cancellation or anything, but I would say for the sound quality and the price that you pay for it, yeah, this is probably one of the best sounding wireless earbuds you can get under $100, and pretty much what you expect from Moondrop, because they're a Chinese IM company that makes a lot of good value, like good value earphones, earbuds, IEMs, etc. So yeah, Moondrop Sparks, pretty good for the price. Right, so now we move on to the A tier. These are IEMs I found out to be very outstanding in some way. So the Aroma Jewel is going to be in this tier. The Aroma Jewel is Aroma Audio's previous flagship. They have the Core out now, which I haven't tried yet. But yeah, this is a $5,000 IEM, definitely very, very expensive. I think probably one of the most expensive when it first came out. Yeah, so this IEM is definitely more of a specialty IEM. It's not an all-arounder, because the tuning is interesting because it doesn't really have too much bass or treble for that matter. Kind of got very lean bass, and treble is actually a little bit recessed as well. So you might be wondering what's so great about this IEM. The mids. So the mids on this IEM, especially for vocals, is some of the best mids you'll ever hear. Especially for vocal tracks, it's so airy, so natural. Like, the presentation is so organic, natural, airy. I don't know what other better way to describe it. It just sounds so, it's not like the soundstage is massive or anything. It's definitely got soundstage, but it's got like a wide soundstage, and yet at the same time it's intimate. I know that sounds like a contradiction, but it's like the singer is like standing right in front of you, and so the vocals sound really, really intimate. But at the same time, the soundstage is also wide when you hear the instruments, so the imaging is quite good as well. So yeah, it's got that nice mix, right? It's got good imaging, but also it's got the really like nice intimate right in front of you vocals that makes it sound so natural. So that's the best way I can describe this IEM. Some people call this neutral, but I would say this is just a very natural, organic sounding. Especially for vocal tracks. I think this is specialty IEM. If you listen to songs with vocals in it, ballads and stuff like that, yeah, this is what makes the Aroma Jewel special. I think for vocal tracks, this is one of the best IEMs that you can get on the market. It's just got such great natural presentation for the mids. So I think when it comes to the mids, the only other IEM that might compare is the Aureolus Traily, which I haven't tried before. So I can't speak too much to the Traily, haven't tried that one, but as far as for me, the Aroma Jewel has the best vocal presentation I've ever heard on an IEM, so that's why it's in this A tier. Okay, next on the A tier is the Noble Kaiser 10, which some might be surprised to see it on here because it is an older IEM. Yes, technically, you can look at the Khan, Kublai Khan, Viking Ragnar, all those surpass it technically, okay? Because this is an older IEM, those are newer. But I have to give the Kaiser 10 props because I think when this first came out, you gotta look at the historical context too. That's how I'm ranking these two. The historical context of when this came out, okay? When this came out, I think in terms of if you want to have like a fairly neutral reference sounding IEM, this was one of the best on the market, bar none. Like, the detail, soundstage, resolution, balance, I think is one of the best out of any IEM when it came out on the market. And still to this day, if you get one of these Kaiser 10s, you'll still think that. So the fact that it can still keep up with a lot of the 2K plus, 3K plus IEMs today is still pretty impressive. So Yeah, I got to give props to Noble, for the 10 when it came out. The Kaiser 10 was one of the best IEMs when it came out, and still holds up today, honestly. So, yeah, if you're looking for like a fairly neutral type response, I know it does still have that treble peak, but it's not quite as bad as on the Khans or Kublai Khans or Viking Ragnars. I think those ones, the treble is noticeably hot. Not so much on the Kaiser 10s. I think it's not quite as bad, so it doesn't sound as harsh or fatiguing. So overall, just a really nicely well balanced, like definitely on the flatter side because the bass is still kind of lean. But if you're looking for like a flatter response type of IEM, reference sounding, just shows you the music the way it's meant to be heard. Actually, like not too much, of elevation or recessed anything. Then I think still the Kaiser 10 is one of the best that you can. Even to this day, it's still a nice reference IEM, I think. So I know technicalities, it's been surpassed by a lot of other Nobles offerings, but for the time, like the historical impact and just, yeah, overall, like what it's done for Noble Audio as a company, I gotta put this in the A tier. Yeah, this is to me, it's almost like a legendary IEM. Yeah, so it's really, really good for the time and still holds up to this day. Also the price point as well. You look at the price point, it's not even $2,000. It was considered expensive at the time because IEMs, $2,000 was considered a lot at the time it came out, like 10 years ago. But nowadays, this is a fine price point. It's not cheap, but it's not like overly expensive either. So I think for the price point, definitely, still hits. Now on to another legend in the IEM industry, the Empire Ears Odin. So this IEM came out a while ago, retailed for $3,400, was one of the most expensive IEMs when it came out, and absolutely amazing IEM. Especially for the time it was released. Technicalities, I think even though it's getting a little bit old now, I think the technicalities still kind of hold up today because it was just so good when it came out. It's just really well balanced. It's got the bass, treble, mids. It's reasonably well balanced. Nothing is like ever pushed up too much or too recessed. I think like if I were to say one thing that maybe could be tuned a bit better is the upper mids that I think could be sounding a little bit too forward for some people. That makes female vocals might sound a little bit shouty, but other than that, no, there's not much to criticize on the tuning or the technicalities because, okay, it's not the last word in soundstage now. At the time it came out, it's probably one of the best technical IEMs, like resolution soundstage. Nowadays, you have better IEMs with wider soundstage, more technicalities. Heck, you even have the successor, the Odin 2, which I haven't tried yet, right? In the Novus, you have more expensive Empire Ears IEMs now. But for the time it released, I think it was on top. And even today, it still holds up really well. So it's just a legendary IEM, iconic, I would say, for IEM enthusiasts. The Empire Ears Odin, this will be like up there with like Trilly and many others for just the Kaiser 10, as I mentioned. Just one of the top IEMs that it just held the spot for such a long time, right? I wouldn't consider necessarily one of the top IEMs now, but it just held the top spot for such a long time back then. So yeah, in terms of impact and what it did, like it's well tuned, it's got the technicalities, also very beautiful looking IEM in my opinion as well. Yeah, Empire Ears Odin, it's just a legend. What can I say? Still holds up well now. Okay, Camper 622B, also on my A tier. This is another IEM that I think is very, very well balanced. It doesn't try to push anything up too much, nothing's really recessed or elevated too much. Another IEM that I think has very, very safe tuning. So you can think of this as, it could be like Fire FX17, for example, or Alien Brain, or TA Audiomatic Mark II, but just, again, with better technicalities. Although not up to the level of Subtonic Storm or anything. But yeah, generally just a nice all-arounder IEM, I would say. For the $3,000 price point, the technicalities are what you would expect for that price point. So it's got the soundstage and technical resolution, detail retrieval of a 3K IEM. But just, yeah, with that nice slight U-shaped tuning that just works well with most genres. So yeah, I think Camper is 622B, very, very safe, inoffensive IEM. Again, the problem with this tuning is that also nothing really stands out either. On this, is not going to have the best bass or treble or mids or anything like that. At the same time, nothing is really too much to criticize about either. So there's pros and cons of this kind of tuning. But anyways, if you're looking for a very, very well balanced IEM at the 3K price point with good technicalities at that price point, then check out 622B. I haven't tried 752B yet. I think 752B might be like a little bit more energetic version, which some people might like better because some people might find this a little bit too safe and boring if the tuning is like this. Like even Storm, I know I said Storm was kind of like a well-balanced IEM, but actually Storm does have, I would say, slightly more bass and treble just to keep things a little bit more energetic. 622B isn't quite energetic like that, so it could be considered boring to some people, but it is a very good all-arounder IEM, I'd say. So anyways, this one still goes in my A tier. I'd recommend it to anyone looking for a nice all-arounder IEM in the 3K price range. A Camper Mona Lisa. This is a limited edition collaboration between Camper and Elitech, the cable company. So they only made like less than like 300 units or something, like maybe only 150. Not a whole lot of them, basically. But yeah, these are pretty much on the same tier as 622B, I'd say. It's just tuned differently. This one is more energetic sounding. It's more V-shaped for sure. So a lot of people like it better than 622B. I think they're the same tier. It really just depends on your preferences. Like Camper 622B is very well balanced. Nothing is really elevated too much or recessed too much. It's a very safe tuning. But some people find that boring, even though it's a great all-arounder IEM. The Mona Lisa, even though it's not quite of an all-arounder because it's more V-shaped, the mids are more recessed, but the treble and bass are pushed up, it's a more energetic sounding IEM. It's better for energetic tracks. It's just as detailed as a 622B. I would say maybe a little bit more detailed, but they're pretty much on the same tier, I'd say. It's just depending on your tuning preferences, really. If you like energetic, fun IEMs, the Mona Lisa is definitely more of that than the 622B is. The 622B is more of a balanced all-arounder IEM. Not quite as good for energetic tracks. Probably 622B is a bit better for mids and vocals because it's not quite as recessed. But Mona Lisa would be better for like a fun, energetic type of listen. So yeah, I'm going to put it in the same tier here. $3,500. It's a little bit more expensive because limited edition. It comes with that Elitech cable. Okay, so the Dita Perpetuas. These originally retailed for I think close to $3,000 US, and it was probably the most expensive single driver IEM released at the time. Now they have the Ventura, which is even more expensive. But the Perpetua, yeah, this is actually a really nice sounding IEM. It's very cohesive sounding because of its single dynamic driver, but it's also tuned very well and you get a lot of detail out of it. It's a very, I would say it's a neutral sounding IEM. Yeah, it's not energetic. Because it's like more neutral sounding, the mids are actually a bit more forward because of that. So I would say the mids are probably what you'll feel in this one. It's a bit more forward. It won't have the bass or treble energy, probably for a lot of people who prefer like those type of V-shaped tunings because it's not like that. So definitely neutral-ish and mid-forward, but it's a really nice listen. It's on the warm side. It's relaxed, laid back. So it's a really nice listen. I do have to note that the Perpetua, it's an interesting IEM because the design is like, yeah, it's a little bit different than other IEMs. So it kind of has like a weird fit in some people's ears. I know for me, it took me a while to get it actually to fit in my ear. Also, it's a bit heavy. This thing is like, it's built really well, actually. It's got like, it looks like stainless steel or something like that. It's got a weight to it. So it's actually built quite well. And yeah, kind of a weird fit, but it sounds really good. Definitely more on the neutral side, warm neutral. And the tuning is, I would say, a bit mid-forward. Treble and bass are a bit lean, but it's there, and it's still nice and detailed, and it's a bit mid-forward. But overall, it's a pretty nice, relaxing listen, I would say. Not for people who like energetic IEMs or anything, but it's a good laid-back listen. Smooth, refined, and cohesive is basically how I would describe the Perpetua. Okay, next up is the Volk Audio Etoile. This is the first IEM by Volk Audio, which is a company kind of co-founded by the founder of Empire Ears, Jack Vang, I think. So yeah, this one is a pretty interesting IEM. It does things a little bit differently than a lot of the other IEMs that we see in modern day because it's mid-focused. So a lot of IEMs that we find nowadays are either like kind of V-shaped or W-shaped or kind of like this neutral, flatter type of response. Yeah, the Volk audio is interesting because it focuses on the mids and also has kind of a treble push as well, and then the bass is a little bit leaner. So kind of an interesting tuning. If you're looking for an IEM that has really nice mids and natural sounding, not quite as natural as the Aroma Jewel, but you know, kind of in that area, the Etoile is really good. You know, I love listening to vocal tracks on it. It's got really nice. It's the mids are not warm; they're kind of on the bright side because this is a kind of like a bright IEM actually, but it's still like the mid presentation is still very good. It's top notch. Bass is definitely on the lean side. Treble a little bit pushed up, therefore making it sound like definitely on the bright side. But yeah, out of the IEMs I've tried recently, I think the Etoile kind of impressed me. Definitely on my top 10 IEMs list out of the ones I've tried recently. Yeah, overall, I wouldn't say it's not going to beat Jewel, might not beat Trilly either in terms of mids, but it comes in that ballpark, you know, which is already saying something. So yeah, if you're looking for an IEM that has, you know, good technicals, I know this is a $4,000 IEM, it's expensive, but good technicals and very nice mid presentation, then yeah, check out the Vocal Audio Etoile. I think it's pretty nice. Okay, let's move on to another IEM that I actually owned before, the Quill Satin. So the Quill Satin is, yeah, I would think I like most parts about it. There's just one problem with it. Actually, technically two problems, okay? But it still belongs in the A tier, I think, because it does punch above its price range, in my opinion. So yes, it is still a very expensive IEM, $3,300, right? That's obviously still expensive, but it competes on the level of $4,000 IEMs, I would say. In terms of technicality, resolution, detail, texture, yeah, it competes with any $4,000 IEM, in my opinion. What's really interesting about this one, let's just go over like all the details of this one, okay? First of all, sub-bass extension is incredible with the Quill Satin. The sub-bass response and detail and texture of the rumble and the extension that you get with it is one of the best I've heard. And that I'm like Mephisto level, basically. You're talking about that level of bass. So the bass is, especially the sub-bass. The mid-bass, yeah, it's not quite as pushed up, but the sub-bass is definitely, you will hear that, right? That rumble. It's one of the best I've heard. So sub-bass presentation might be the best I've ever heard on any IEM with the Satins. Treble is definitely pretty nice as well. Not necessarily the best treble, but definitely, you know, nicely detailed. Could be a little bit harsh to some people, but not to me. I think this is right at the right amount. It's not like Viking Ragnar level or anything. Up mids, especially upper mids, a little bit pushed forward and still really good. You know, nicely detailed, textured, vocal layering and everything. I think upper mids are done really well. Soundstage, I think, is one of the weak points of it. Doesn't really have the soundstage of a $3,000 IEM. Probably has more the soundstage of a $2,000 IEM. Or even $1,000 IEM. I mean, soundstage is honestly not really that great on this thing. That's one of the downsides. That's why it doesn't go into the S tier. But everything else is really good. And the fact of the matter is that the technicalities of this IEM, except for the soundstage, it punches above its price point and it competes with 4K IEMs. Yeah, like the Multiverse Mentor, for example. Like, I think it really does. I really do think it competes at that level in terms of the detail, resolution, and texture. So yeah, the Satin, yeah, I'm going to put in this tier because I do think that there is some outstanding things about it, especially the sub-bass response, the upper mids, and also like, I know the build quality isn't that good, so that's another downside. The build quality isn't that good, but the shell looks nice, right? It's got a really nice, interesting design, even though the shell quality could be better. But yeah, definitely it's got, it's not the perfect IEM, but I think still, for $3,000 price point, it's still one of the best IEMs for the $3,000 price point, in my opinion. Yeah, also because this has planar tweeters and planar drivers inside of it, it does take some power to drive. So that's another thing to note. I think it's because of the planars. You do need definitely more power than with other IEMs to drive this thing. Okay, next up is Forte Ear's flagship Macbeth. Just like with Forte Ear's other designs, it's really nice. I really like the look of Macbeth. Yeah. Just it really stands out, and yeah, the technicalities and the tuning is really good. So I don't have too much to fault about this one. It's like a W-shaped IEM. So you've got bass quantity and quality, and then you've got the mids slightly elevated, and you got a treble extension and elevation as well. So this is a IEM that, yeah, it's good for energetic tracks and okay for vocals as well. Not the best for vocals, but for energetic tracks, it's pretty nice. I think the mid quality could be improved by a bit. Definitely not the last word on mids, that's for sure. But it's still, it got like, you can still use it, you know, for mid tracks, and it sounds fine. But not the last word in mid quality for sure. Soundstage is pretty good for the price point. So yeah, overall, I put this in the A tier because I don't find much fault with it, honestly. It's a really nice IEM. I really enjoyed it. Probably in my top 5 or close to the top 5 IEMs that I tried. Yeah, just it's nice. It's got the energy. It sounds fun and dynamic. It's not like overly V-shaped or anything like that. And you can still use it for listening to some vocal tracks, even though the mids are not like really top notch. But you can still use it for that. And technicalities are there. So overall, not too much to fault with this one, except I think maybe the mids could be a bit better. That's really about it. Otherwise, Macbeth is really nicely well tuned and really nice technicalities, and even the appearance is great. So that's why it's on the A tier here. Okay, so next up is the Unique Melody or Multiverse Mentor. So this is another IEM I actually owned before, and it is a pretty nice IEM. It's their sub-flagship, I would say. It's not really their flagship. I think the Mason is their flagship, and they have a bunch of Masons. But the Multiverse Mentor can be considered their sub-flagship. And yeah, it's really nice. It's almost all balanced armature drivers, I believe, with a frequency shift bone conduction. And the sound signature is like, I would say close to V-shaped. It's like a soft V-shape. Yeah. The mids are not really, I mean, it's there. It's not recessed or anything, but it's not like super pronounced either. Bass quality and quantity is there. And then you have a treble extension as well. So definitely a soft V-shape, and overall a tuning that I would say would satisfy most people, just like the Macbeth. So if you guys like a dynamic, very fun sounding IEM, I think both the Macbeth and the Multiverse Mentor will fit that role very nicely. Yeah, really nice detailed bass. Yeah, not much to complain about Multiverse Mentor. If you like those kind of energetic sounds, if you listen to those type of genres, it's not the best with vocals because it's actually not really mid-focused. I think that's probably the only kind of big criticism I have on that, is that, yeah, the mids are not really the best on the Multiverse Mentor. Honestly, I can't really think of any IEM that has good mids. I think is not really the best at mids. But yeah, in terms of just energy and fun, then Multiverse Mentor is one of the best IEMs at that. And Soundstage is really nice too. It's really got the technicalities as well. So I would say it's fairly similar level to the Macbeth that I just placed. So in terms of technicality and tuning, I think the Macbeth might have slightly more forward mids, but other than that, they are both kind of these very fun IEMs, right? Macbeth is more of a W-shaped than the Multiverse Mentor is. I think Multiverse Mentor is more of a soft V-shape. But anyways, if you like listening to fun, energetic tracks, I think Multiverse Mentor has definitely got it. The soundstage, the bass, energy, yeah, it's got it all. So pretty nice IEM. Okay, so another one in the A tier I'm going to put that I own currently right now is the Nostalgia Audio Tesseract, which was their former flagship. Currently their flagship is the Pendragon, which I haven't tried yet. But yeah, the Tesseract, I really like it. I mean, I kept it for a few different reasons. So first of all, I made a video kind of comparing the Tesseract with the Quill Satin, the Multiverse Mentor I just talked about. And the Tesseract ended up winning because of its airy, natural, smooth mids, I would say. Yeah, so I wouldn't say the Tesseract is a perfect IEM, not by any means, because I can't say the treble is the best, and I can't say that the bass is very good either. Honestly, the Multiverse Mentor or the Macbeth bass just beats the pants off the Tesseract bass. Tesseract bass is not, I mean, it's got the bass quantity, but it doesn't have the bass quality. That's the problem. So that's a big downside for the Tesseract, is it doesn't really have the bass quality. However, it makes up for this with its airy mids, and the soundstage, especially when it comes to the mid presentation, is very, very emotional and engaging, I would say. So yeah, because of those reasons, I kept the Tesseract. I really like my emotional engaging mids, and the sound stage is one of the best I've ever heard in an IEM. Plus the cool faceplate design. You know, I've never seen a faceplate design like this where it kind of has these strips that kind of glow in the dark and stuff. Pretty cool, very futuristic looking. So I do like the design as well. But yeah, not the best bass for sure. That's the main downside of it, I would say. The treble's fine. The mids is really where it shines in the soundstage. So the mids and the soundstage is why I kept this one. Yeah, it's got these really very emotional, naturally engaging sounding mids, and the soundstage is one of the widest that I've felt in an IEM. So for those reasons, this Nostalgia Tesseract, I know this might be high for some people, but I put in the A tier for me. Also in the A tier is an IEM that really surprised me. This is the Tangzhou Tianpeng, which retails for $630. And Tangzhou is a Chinese IEM company that honestly, they make a ton of IEMs. Like, I think over 20 or 30, I don't know. They make a lot of different IEM models, mostly budget level, like under $1,000. And the Tampon, when I tried it, I was floored. Like, I thought this IEM cost like $2,000. I'm serious. Like, in terms of value, it's just incredible. Yeah, the detail, clarity, resolution, tuning, everything is actually really, really good on the Tampon. It's tuned actually in a fairly energetic way, but not like super V-shaped. So it's got this nice like W-shaped tuning. I think that's like most people will like. So it's got like a decent amount of bass, a slightly elevated treble, upper mids, like overall really nicely balanced tuning. Yeah, it's probably just got just enough for most people to like, and sounds really energetic as well. Yeah, it's slightly forward mids as well. So it's actually just a really good all-arounder IEM. And to be honest, like, you know what, the closest IEM I would compare this to is Seventh Acoustics Asteria, which is actually coming up later in this video on the same tier. Obviously, it's not the same level of technicalities as Asteria, but it's got similar tuning, I would say, to the Asteria. For $630, you get like the technicalities of like a $2,000 IEM, the soundstage and resolution and detail of a $2,000 IEM. I mean, that's just incredible, right? So incredible value for the price. Yeah, if you're looking for an IEM under $1,000, this is like hands down one of my biggest recommendations under $1,000 is the Tangzhou Tianpeng. It just punches so much higher than its price. Hercules Audio Noah. So this one actually retails surprisingly for under $500, which is amazing actually, because this IEM, when I heard it, I thought it cost like $1,500, $2,000. That's what I thought. Like, the technicalities of this IEM is just way, way beyond its price point. Like, why do I have it in the S tier? Because in terms of value, it's one of the hardest IEMs to beat in terms of value, right? Actually, all the IEMs on this tier, maybe not the Kronos, but all the other IEMs on this tier, I would say are really good value for the price point. Yeah, the Hercules Noah especially, because, wow. Okay, the faceplate is okay. I mean, it definitely looks kind of cool. But the sound, technicality, soundstage, the tuning is very well balanced. Yeah, it punches really above its price. Like, really, when I heard this, I thought it was like a $2,000 IEM, right? But it's actually like $400. Like, that's how crazy it is. It's a $400 IEM that sounds like a $2,000 IEM. I mean, you can't beat that for value, right? So pretty incredible in terms of value. Yeah, just I would say that most of the IEMs in this tier, except for the Kronos, are going to be more on what you get for the value, right? That's what makes something S tier, in my opinion. And yeah, this soundstage, detail, resolution, texture, the tuning, very balanced. It's not one of those IEMs that's going to offend anyone. So it's like decently fun and engaging and exciting. Slightly, pushed elevated bass and treble, but not too much. So it's one of those tunings that's fairly safe in my opinion. But it's just the value, man. For $400, the amount of technicalities that you get with this IEM is just insane. So that's why it has to belong on the S tier. You're getting $2,000 sounding IEM for $400. It's insane. Okay, so also in the A tier is the much hyped and praised Aureolus Trilly. So this is the flagship of Aureolus, a Japanese IEM brand. Trilly is by far their most famous IEM, one of the most expensive IEMs ever when it first came out. $6,000 US, yeah, that's a crazy price. But the thing is about the Aureolus Trilly is that it is kind of a specialty IEM. It's more of a vocal IEM, so it's definitely for vocal tracks. Not energetic or exciting. I mean, it does have bass, so it's got a little bit of bass for sure. That's a little bit elevated, but not too much. Treble's a bit recessed. Soundstage is pretty decent, not super wide, but decent overall, I'd say. But yeah, the really star of the show here is just the mids and upper mids. So the Trilly mids are really organic, smooth, natural sounding. So pretty similar to your Roma Jewel, I would say in that sense. So Roma Jewel and Aureolus Trilly honestly pretty close to each other. The difference is that Trilly has a bit more bass. Jewel has a little bit more airy, sparkly treble because Jewel has more electrostatics. So yeah, it's really, like kind of both of them are really on the same tier. Yeah, it's like Jewel has two more electrostatic drivers, I think, and Trilly has two more balanced armature, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, like basically Trilly will have a bit more bass than Jewel does. Jewel has a bit more sparkly airy highs because it has a few more electrostatics. Otherwise, both of them are incredible for the mids, the smooth, organic, lush sounding mids. Both Trilly and Jewel are great at this, so I had to put them in the same tier. Both of them are pretty expensive. They're within $1,000 of each other. Both of them are kind of specialty IEMs in that sense. They're not energetic or exciting to listen to per se, but they're really good at what they do, which is if you got a track with good vocals, mids, guitar, then these things are the best. Trilly and Jewel. So that's why I had to put them in the same tier. Just if you're looking for an IEM to listen to vocal music, then it's hard to beat the Trilly and Jewel at any price range. I know these are expensive, but at any price range, it's hard to beat them, and they're just kind of legendary just for that. So that's why I got to put it pretty high up here in the A tier. Okay, also in the A tier, I'm gonna put the TSMR or Tansio Mirai Halos. Honestly, like, this is one of those IEMs where you really do need some time with it because it's not one of those really exciting, energetic IEMs that will wow you. It does not wow you at first listen. It's kind of more like, it's like Jewel or Trilly. It's like one of those IEMs where you need an extended amount of time to listen to it because it will kind of grow on you over time because it is more vocal centric. Therefore, you do need more time with it, listen to more vocal tracks and everything. And then once you listen to it, you realize how great of an IEM this is because it honestly comes pretty close to Trilly in my perspective. I think it really gets up to maybe 75%, 80% that of Trilly. Now, the bass level isn't quite as high as Trilly. I mean, Trilly has like maybe a little bit more bass. The Halos are pretty light on bass. It's fairly lean. I would say closer to Roma Jewel, in fact. Treble is also a bit recessed. That's similar to Trilly. The upper mids are definitely elevated, and that's where it's similar to Trilly as well. So to be honest, it's very similar to Trilly, and it will get about 80% of the way there. It doesn't quite have the soundstage or technicalities of Trilly, but it's pretty close, and doesn't have the bass of Trilly either, but pretty close. 80% of the way there, I'd say. And for the price, I mean, $2,000 for this, and to get 80% of the way to Trilly, it's really good. So this is one of the best vocal IEMs that you can get for the price range, I think. For the $2,000 price range, hands down one of the best vocal IEMs that you can get. So yeah, you can put TSMR Halo here in the A tier, just because, yeah, I've not heard a better vocal IEM in this price range, basically. And yeah, it even has the same driver configuration as Trilly. Like, it's got 8 balanced armature, 4 electrostatics, just like Trilly. So I could tell that when TSMR made this IEM, they were definitely, I wouldn't say exactly trying to clone Trilly, but they were definitely trying to get that type of sound for sure. All right, so also in the A tier, I'm going to put the Forte Ears Mephisto. And I know I put the Forte Ears Macbeth in the A tier already. You'll be asking me, why do I put Mephisto also in the A tier? It's not their flagship, right? Macbeth is their flagship. Well, the thing is, Mephisto is actually better in some ways than Macbeth, especially when it comes to the bass. So the thing is, the Mephisto bass is probably one of the best bass I've ever heard in an IEM in terms of the detail, the texture, the rumble. Yeah, the bass that comes out of Mephisto is top tier. So just based on that alone, I think it deserves a spot in the A tier. Just the bass is just incredible. You won't hear many IEMs with better quality bass than this. And I'm not saying it's a bass head IEM is not. In terms of bass quantity, it doesn't have like a lot of quantity. It has enough, you know. It's not like huge amounts of bass like the Xenon 6 or something, or the Alpha Omega Omega. It's not like that amount of bass. But in terms of quality, you know, it's just got the really good bass quality, hard to beat, honestly, at any price. And then in terms of tuning overall, very energetic, I would say. So it's a very fun, energetic sounding IEM. For the price, $3,000, it's pretty good. Like, yeah, I think at its price point, it's hard to find a better energetic sounding IEM than Mephisto. And especially for the bass, you know, which is hard to be at any price point, to be honest. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put Mephisto in the A tier as well. I know Macbeth technically is superior, and it should be because it's the flagship, but there are some things that Mephisto I think has over it, which is just the fun tonality and the bass. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in the same tier actually. Okay, Dunu 242. I'm gonna have to put this in the A tier because it is actually a excellent IEM for the price. It is only $350, but honestly sounds like a $1,000 IEM. The mids are actually really good on these. Like, it's not an energetic IEM, but it's an IEM that's more for vocals, I would say. So this is more of a vocal IEM, and I love my vocal IEMs, you know, because I do listen to a lot of pop and vocal tracks. So this one will emphasize the mids and upper mids, and yeah, you get pretty much, if you look at the top tier vocal IEMs, right, like I listed Jewel and Traily, yeah, of course these are the Semify vocal IEMs, right? But Dunu 242 I think also belongs in this tier just for the price. You know, it's such a good vocal IEM for the price. Honestly, even for around $1,000, it's going to be hard to find a vocal IEM that can beat this. So if you guys are looking for like a vocal IEM under $1,000, heck, under $500, right? This is the one to get. It's actually really, really good, you know. So I would say that, yeah, for the price, it's extremely good. That's why I had to put it in this tier. It'll compete with, like for vocal tracks, which is what it's meant for really, it'll compete with any IEM up to $2,000 even, I would say. So that's just, you know, incredible value. So yeah, it's a great IEM, especially for mids, for vocal tracks, for guitar tracks and stuff. Not so much if you're looking for the energetic stuff, but yeah, I would say, you know, if you listen to a lot of guitar instrumentals and vocal pop tracks and stuff, you'll like this IEM. It's really, really good for that price. The FLC Shirasawas, I'm actually pretty impressed by these. My friend, who's an audiophile, he really likes the brand FLC, which is an obscure Chinese brand. And he told me to get these because these are a new release, which they haven't had for a while. Yeah, I got these, and yeah, I was impressed. Now, they're not going to compete with, you know, like $3,000, $4,000 IEMs, but for the price, it's only $250 US. This probably competes in a $1,000 price range. Like I'm saying in the Monarch, TA Audio Monarch level. Like that's what I felt from these guys. They're extremely well tuned, W-shaped basically. So you got that soft W where you have good amount of bass. Actually, I don't even think it's soft. It's just a nice W shape. You got a good amount of bass, good amount of treble, upper mids are pushed up a bit. It'll work for most genres, but especially for pop and vocals, which is what this was tuned to. So if you like your pop tracks and vocal tracks, which means that you have energetic IEM with upper mids pushed up a bit, which is what W shape is. So this is a really nicely tuned IEM. I really do like the tuning on this. And the detail, resolution, soundstage are pretty much on the $1,000 IEM tier. So you're talking about $250 IEM that competes in the $1,000 price tier. So it's really, really good value. Probably one of the best value IEMs I've heard. It's really up there with like Dunu 242, with Hercules Noah, Tangsu Tianpeng. You know, these IEMs I talked about already in the A tier. Yeah, this is really up there with those in terms of value. So if you guys are looking for a $250 IEM, yeah, FLC Shirasawa's. I know this is an obscure brand, but really give it a shot. These are extremely well tuned and probably one of the best sounding, if not the best sounding IEM you'll see in this price range. Because, yeah, I would say for sub $500, yeah, it's just it's a small list of IEMs I would put in this tier, basically for sub 500. But it would be like Noah, Shirasawa, and Dunu 242. It's pretty much what I put in here, because these IEMs are so good for their price. So yeah, extremely good value. So I was really impressed with FLC Shirasawa's. I think these are just extremely well tuned and really good value. I'll put the UMS Jet Black. Also, it's pretty much the UMS Mark IV. And man, such a big difference from Mark III. You know, I hated the Mark III. That's why I put it in the D tier. It was way too V-shaped. I didn't like the hot treble on it. The Mesh Jet Black is so totally different in terms of tuning, and it's just such a huge upgrade. Like, the difference can't be even like compared, because the Jet Black is much more neutral leaning, not exactly flat, but just definitely more neutral, not as V-shaped. So the bass isn't quite as pumped up. The treble is definitely lean, kind of toned down, but not recessed or anything. Just overall very well balanced and leaning on the neutral side, I would say. And the technicalities are very good for its price. So why I put this in the S tier, I just think it's the best IEM in my opinion in terms of value. Like, you're paying $2,000 for this, and essentially the technicalities and everything are on par with like a $3,000 IEM. Like, yeah, the technicalities, soundstage, detail, it's really up there with any $3,000 IEM in my opinion. And it's well tuned. Like, it's tuned in a way that is, yeah, like fairly neutral leaning. So it's not like a really exciting sounding IEM in that sense. Again, if you're like your energetic tracks, probably won't like Jet Black. It's like definitely more of a reference sounding IEM. But it's also a really nice all-arounder for that reason, right? Because it's not very V-shaped at all. Yeah, it's so different from the Mesh Mark III actually. Yeah, it's definitely not as energetic as the Mark III is or Mark II. But because it's more flatter and leaner and neutral, it also works well with most genres, I would say. So yeah, unless you're looking for, again, it won't be the best for vocals or energetic sounding tracks. It is not like a specialist or anything like that, but it's a really nice all-arounder, especially for this price. So for $2,000 price point, one of the best all-arounder IEMs you can get, UMS Jet Black, I would say, and punches above its price point too, in my opinion. Got to put the Noble Audio Sultan Damascus. I never tried the original Sultan, by the way. I tried my friend's Damascus version, which retails for a bit more, and supposedly sound quality is a bit different too. Originally the Damascus version retails for $3,500, which is a full $600 more than the original. And this is probably one of Noble's best tuned IEMs in my opinion. Because like, unlike the Khan and the Kublai Khan, you actually do get a little bit more bass presence, and the treble isn't quite as peaky or spicy. So it's definitely not quite as harsh or fatiguing, and you do get a little bit of bass bounce. So I do like that. And the mids are very natural forward. Yeah, it's natural sounding as well, actually. It's not necessarily the best, because Noble isn't really known for the mids that much as well, but it's still very nice sounding mids. So overall, do like the Noble Sultan Damascus. I think this is one of the best tuned IEMs on the market. Technicalities are all there, detail, resolution, soundstage. It holds up with any other IEM in the 3K range, maybe in the 4K range, you know? So yeah, for those reasons, I think I gotta put Noble Audio Sultan Damascus in my S tier, because I do think it is one of Noble's best tuned IEMs, and just one of the best tuned IEMs on the market. It's fairly balanced. It's not like super energetic or something, so it's not like for those kind of people who want a very energetic sounding IEM. So it's not for those people. But if you're looking for something that's just really nice performer in like almost all genres, I think the Sultan Damascus is a good one. yeah, not necessarily the best for energetic tracks or vocal tracks or anything like that, but I think this is definitely more of an all-arounder IEM. But I like the tuning. I think the technicalities is one of the best that you can get at its price point. Also in the A tier, I'm going to put Mistacraft Myth here. So this is the entry-level IEM for Mistacraft, who came out with a $9,000 IEM called the Hex as their flagship. And then the Myth is essentially like a mini Hex for 1/9 the price. Yes, it's only $1,000. Yeah, only 1,000, but 1,000 is still a lot of money to a lot of people, I know. But to be honest, this IEM, and I owned it before, it's definitely worth it, I would say. For a lot of $1,000 IEMs, I would say that there's some of the better value ones. You might think like Dunu Glacier, for example. Dawn X, you pay a little bit more than 1,000, but it's a really good IEM for that price. Jet Black, same thing. Those are also on the A tier as well. But the Myth, I think it really is really worth the money because, like, first of all, the build quality of the Myth is really, really good. It's got these really solid titanium shells to it. It's a really good build quality. It feels really solid. The fit might be a little bit on the harder side because of the how huge the shells are. But overall, the tuning and the sound is very, very good. I would say the tuning is definitely very energetic. It's a W-shaped type tuning, so but I would say the bass is like slightly elevated. It's not like really, really elevated. It's still a W shape, but the bass is like slightly elevated. So the mid bass, and then the mids, upper mids actually are, you know, actually not too pushed forward. I would say they're just kind of pushed forward a bit. Upper mids are pushed forward a bit, and then lower mids kind of recessed. So the mids are actually the weakest part of the Myth, I would say. Yeah, I would say like part of it sounds recessed, and then the upper mids sound a little bit pushed forward. So it's yeah, it's just okay. The mids. They are kind of like more, I would say it depends what song you're listening to. Sometimes it can sound recessed, sometimes it sound more forward. But overall, I would say the Myths are kind of the weaker part of the Myth. The strongest point of the Myth, I would say, is the technicalities. The very detailed sound stage is quite good, and the treble presentation. Treble presentation, it takes a lot of the tuning from Elysian, because the founder of Mistacraft is actually from Elysian Acoustics. And Elysian is well known for the Annihilator, which is an IEM with very forward detailed treble and good treble extension. And the Myth has that, actually. The Myth has really good treble. It's got a very forward, airy, sparkling treble, I would say. So the treble actually equals that of a lot of even $3,000 IEMs I've listened to. The treble is actually amazing on the Myth. And it's the strongest point of the Myth, easily. Even though the bass actually is quite good as well. I would say the bass is nicely textured too. But yeah, the treble is the strong point on the Myth. Very, very detailed and airy. So yeah, for that, I think it's one of the best IEMs you can get for $1,000. Actually, it's actually very, very good and beats a lot of other IEMs around this price range. Even around $2,000, you know. Very competitive with IEMs like UMS Jet Black or Dawn X. Those other IEMs are put in the A tier as well, right? Of course, they tune differently, but Myth is probably one of the best energetic IEMs you can get for this price range. So yeah, here it goes in the A tier. It's actually pretty good value. Okay, also, I'm going to put in the A tier the Ice Lab Spectrumica. This is a recent IEM I got, and honestly, this is tuned very, very well. It's actually very interesting because it's sort of like an energetic IEM, but it's not harsh or fatiguing. Like the Myth, for example, that's also a great IEM that I had right on this tier. But the thing is, it can get a bit harsh and fatiguing over time, I think, because the treble is just so extended and it's so forward. Whereas with the Spectrumica, like the treble is forward, but it's not actually pushed up all that much. So it's like, it's right at the point where it doesn't become too harsh or fatiguing. So it's got like the right amount of treble to make it sound energetic, yet not be fatiguing or harsh. So you can keep listening to it. The mids are interesting because they're not recessed, but at the same time, they're not forward either. They're kind of just, they're like laid back, yet still detailed. So it's, you know, that's pretty interesting, because usually like, if the mids are recessed, then don't feel as detailed. But in this IEM, yeah, it's like the mids are, they're just laid back sounding. They're not recessed. They're just, they're detailed. They're there. But at the same time, it's not like they're recessed or anything. It's very interesting. And the bass is there. It doesn't have like so much mid bass. Probably has just the right amount, but the sub bass is really good. And it's got that nice bass texture and rumble. And yeah, this dynamic driver, bone conduction, I think has a lot to do with it. It's a quad brid after all. I think for the $2,000 price point, this is a quite, this is hard to beat, honestly. Like I compared it to the UMS Jet Black, which is honestly, UMS Jet Black is probably one of the best IEMs for 2K price point, but this is, this really competes with it well, I think. Like the Jet Black is more balanced sounding, like almost leaning neutral, but it's balanced sounding. But some people might think that Jet Black doesn't sound fun enough or energetic enough. But Spectromica does have that fun and energy without being like too much. So it's just got the right amount of balance, I think. So yeah, all in all, like it's got above average bass, treble, mids, and resolution. The only thing is soundstage is not all that wide, but it's fine. It's not like, it's probably got Jet Black level of soundstage, which is fine for this price range. So yeah, probably one of the best IEMs I heard for the 2K price point, honestly. It's just very well tuned. And yeah, I think that the technicalities are decent, but it's just the tuning that really surprises me. It's like energetic without sounding too much, which is honestly pretty hard to get. I haven't seen too many IEMs like that. So, you know, props. Ice Labs is like not a well-known company, but yeah, this is a pretty nicely done IEM, I think, and it's built really well too. It's got great shells, aluminum shells. It's just quite on the bigger side, but unique look and appearance as well. So pretty good IEM overall. Okay, so I'm reserving my S tier for IEMs that are basically Summit Fi endgame IEMs. All these IEMs, I think, if you have them, there's really no need to go after anymore. Like you'll be happy with them, satisfied, one would hope. So yeah, and these IEMs, you know, kind of sky's the limit for price. But yeah, basically, if you get one of these IEMs in the S tier, I just think you'll be satisfied. You know, hopefully they'll be end game, and they're all going to be like fairly well tuned IEMs, I think, and they're going to have end game level technicalities. Yeah, that's really, I think, what will put an IEM in the S tier for me, is you got to have end game technicalities and a well balanced tuning that will be like good for most genres, essentially. So I think that will be my main requirements for the S tier. Because basically I think of this tier as, hey, if you have any one of these IEMs in this tier, you'll be satisfied with this IEM, sound quality wise, and just listening to any type of genre, basically. So I'm going to start off with the Shure KSC 1200 or 1500, because they're pretty much the same IEM. Yeah, why this one is a different tier is because, well, first, it's single driver electrostatic, which you don't really see with any other IEM. I think this is still the only IEM that you can find that's like single driver electrostat. All the other electrostatic IEMs have like multi-driver electrostat, which is actually not the same thing. This one actually requires a separate amplifier to drive. So yes, it does have extra baggage compared to other IEMs. You do have to carry a separate amplifier along with you, but yeah, what can I say about this IEM? So when it was first released, the 1500 I think was $3,000 when it came out. 1200 was $2,000 when it came out. So it's one of the most expensive IEMs when it was first released. And it's not even available anymore. I think Shure still has the SC846 as their flagship now, which is too bad, because I do think that they should have kept this going. It's still very competitive today. It was released like 10 years ago, still very competitive today if you tune it right. So the thing about this one is that the stock tuning is kind of wonky. The stock tuning, I can describe it as this, fairly lean neutral bass. The lower mids slightly elevated, but the upper mids dip down a little bit. And then the treble has this 8K peak. So it's a very weird tuning. Like the tuning is very wonky, right? Most people don't like the stock tuning. But if you EQ it, right? If you bring down that 8K peak, you bring up the 5K a little bit, like the lower treble was a bit recessed, right? So you bring that up again, you bring up the upper mids a bit, and then you bring up the bass a bit, sub bass and the mid bass a bit, then yeah, it sounds amazing once you do that. I know you guys are going to say, well, you know, that's EQ, you can't do that, that's cheating. Okay, if you were just to judge this based on the stock tuning, it probably wouldn't be S tier or even A tier, maybe not even B tier. It might be actually C or D tier if you don't put the EQ on, right? But once you EQ it, because it has all the technicalities already there, it's one of the best sounding IEMs I ever heard, like hands down. Like it just replaces even my full-size headphones. Like Put these in your ear. Completely isolates the world around you. A lot of other IEMs, they don't completely seal off your ear. It doesn't sound like it anyway. So this one, you put them in. I know they kind of have proprietary ear tips. That's kind of an issue, but the cables as well. But you put them in your ear. They completely isolate the world around you. And the sound is just this electrostatic type of a velvety sound. Yeah, it's just the texture. It's so silky and velvety and smooth. I don't know what else better to explain it. Like if you ever heard a Stax headphone, right? Stax headphone is kind of like that too. So it has that kind of velvety, rich sound quality to it, and that's what the Sures have as well. Once you tune it right and EQ it right, it's amazing. Smooth, velvety, silky texture in every frequency. The soundstage is just enveloping. It's probably got the largest, widest soundstage I've ever heard, because it's actually like almost feels like a full 360-degree soundstage. Yeah. In terms of technicalities, it's all there. The only thing was the tuning, which the stock tuning is a bit wonky, so a lot of people don't like the stock tuning, but once you EQ it, it is absolutely an endgame IEM. And the fact of the matter is that you can pick it up for like, what, $1,500 US right now, secondhand, because they don't make them anymore. And then at that price is kind of a steal, really. So that's why I'm putting this in the S tier, because once you EQ it right, and I know that's like blasphemy to some purists, but you EQ this thing, and it's absolutely endgame. So, and there's no other IEM sounds like it. That electrostatic type sound, the 360-degree enveloping kind of surround field, no, nothing else sounds like it. So that's why I got to put this one in my S tier. Yeah, it's just very, very, once you like, I know you got to carry around an amp, you got to EQ it and stuff. I know that's like too much for some people, but once you do those things, it's absolutely one of the best sounding IEMs I've ever heard. So anyways, I got to put this one in the S tier because of that reason. If you don't EQ it, then yeah, I know it's not going to be this high. Okay, so Subtonic Storm I had to put in the S tier. This is an IEM that probably very, very few people will ever get the chance to hear, because it is incredibly expensive and also hard to get. So retails right now for $6,500. Yes, that's right, $6,500 US at the starting point. Then it gets even more expensive when you add in the expensive cables and stuff, but that's just the starting price. And in order to even get it, you need to be on a wait list. So it's just a really, really hard IEM to get. And you might be wondering, wow, that's like ridiculous price, right? And why do so many people want it? Well, let me say that when I heard Subtonic Storm, it's just, yeah, it's an experience. It's just, I think overall in terms of technicalities, just one of the best, if not the most technical IEM I've ever heard. It does need a lot of power to drive. Like most apps probably wouldn't be able to drive it properly. Like you probably need like a desktop amp or a really, really powerful DAP to drive it. You really need a lot of power for this IEM to really open up. So once you do have the power, like this IEM is just incredible. Yeah, it basically eats power for lunch and dinner. But once you really feed it enough power, because it's so power hungry, it really opens up and it's incredible. Like soundstage, has an incredibly black background. Yeah, just overall technicalities are superb on this, right? Detail, resolution, soundstage, the background is incredibly black and noise free. Yeah, it's got probably the blackest background I ever experienced when I'm listening to it. Soundstage is very, very wide. I think it's really up there with, I'm not sure if it's necessarily wider than Tia Forte or Nostalgia Tesseract, but it is like really, really up there in terms of soundstage. And then detail and resolution are absolutely endgame and Summit Fi level. And the tuning is really, really good. It's at the tuning level where I would expect it's not going to like offend anyone. It's got like a decent amount of bass, a decent amount of treble, and like decent mids as well. It's not like going to be great mids. So it's not like Aroma Jewel or Aureolus Traily in terms of mids, but it's going to have decent mids. Like it's kind of like this soft W shape, I guess, that will kind of please most people. So overall, it's very well tuned to a degree where I think that you cannot say it really specializes in anything. Like when you hear Storm, it's not like, oh, this has the most amazing bass, the most amazing treble, or the most amazing mids. It doesn't have any of those things, because if you're going to be like well balanced, in terms of tuning, you can't really have that, right? That's one of the things. If you want to be like very well balanced across the board and be an all-arounder type of IEM, which I think Storm is, you can't really be the best at any one of those things, but it has them in good amounts. So it has a good amount of bass, treble, and mids, where you don't feel like you're missing too much of it. Yeah, just absolutely technicalities is like end game Summit 5 level. Just I think out of all the IEMs I've experienced, when driven with the proper amount of power, I think it's probably the best IEM I've ever heard. Yeah, like if you drive it with the proper amount of power, and this has like, keep in mind when I demoed this, it had a pretty thick cable on it. I think the guy who had Storm had a really, really expensive cable, but yeah, basically when I heard it, I was like, wow, this is like the best IEM I've ever heard. Technicalities wise and tuning wise, sure, it's not like necessarily the best at any of like it's not going to be the best bass or the best vocal IEM or anything like that. It's not going to be a specialist in any of those things, but just overall well balanced, well tuned, to where it's kind of like an all-arounder. So yeah, overall, I have to give Storm the S tier. I know it's extremely expensive and hard to get, but it's, in my life, I don't think I've heard many IEMs better than this. This is just absolutely one of the best IEMs I've ever heard, period, when you have enough power to drive it. So I had to put it in this tier. Okay, next up is Noble Audio's current flagship, the Noble Kronos, which is technically their more mass-produced version of their Chronicle, which I've never tried before. So I think this is also an amazingly well-tuned IEM. Just like the Sultan Damascus that I just mentioned, yeah, it's very, very well balanced. Again, it's not for people who want to have something that's super energetic. It's not going to be for people who want vocal mid-focused either. It's just for people who really just want something that's just evenly balanced across the board. Like it has bass presence, treble presence, of course, because it's Noble. Mids as well is pretty good as well. So just a nice all-arounder IEM. I said this about the Sultan Damascus. If you want to take everything from the Sultan Damascus up to the next level with even more detail, with even wider soundstage, pretty much you can also think of this as the fixed version of the Viking Ragnar, right? Remember how I said the Viking Ragnar, the thing I didn't like about it was the bass was too lean, the treble was too hot? Well, if you bump up the bass a little bit on the Viking Ragnar and you tone down the treble just a little bit, then you essentially get the Kronos. So it's essentially Viking Ragnar, but with Sultan Damascus tuning. So that's perfect, you know? Yeah, or you can consider this Sultan Damascus with the technicalities of Viking Ragnar. And yeah, you have a near perfect IEM, I would say, for all-around listening. So that's why this one belongs in the S tier. Really, end-game IEM if you're looking for an all-arounder, in my opinion. Okay, so also on the S tier, I'm going to put the 7th Acoustics Asteria. This is a limited IEM. It's hard to get. It's $3,800, so it's still expensive and everything. I can't say it's great value, but at the same time, it does punch above its price as well. Like this sounds as good as pretty much any IEM I've heard. It sounds as, even up to like Subtonic Storm level, to be honest. It's not that far off. So yeah, I mean, it can hang out with pretty much any IEM at any price point, in my opinion. It's just got the technicalities, it's got the tuning, the capabilities, everything is there. The soundstage is not the widest, but it's definitely like really, really good still. I would say, yeah, if you guys have seen my thoughts on the Noble Kronos already, the Asteria has similar technicalities to the Kronos, I would say, in terms of soundstage and technicalities, resolution, texture. It's like similar level to Kronos, but it's got a more dynamic, fun type of sound to it. So it's almost got the Macbeth type of sound. I would say it's like as if you had the Forte Macbeth sound signature, which is like this W shape, but the mids are a little bit better, and you have the Kronos technicality, and that's the Asteria. So yeah, I mean, that makes it almost like the perfect IEM really for the price. I know it's still expensive, right? It's still like almost $4,000, but again, this is another one of those IEMs where, along with Kronos, I know this is still expensive for the S tier, you know, not in terms of, I'm not recommending all these in terms of value, right? Kronos obviously very expensive still, and Asteria is still very expensive, and Sultan Damascus still very expensive, but Yeah, still very, very good IEM. I think that this one, tuning wise, it's got that W shape. It's got fun, energetic, dynamic sound to it. Mids are also very good, even better than Macbeth's, I would say. So it's got like Macbeth's sound signature, but with better mids. And then it's got the technicalities of Kronos, right? It's got the soundstage and detail, resolution, and texture and layering of the Kronos. So honestly, it's pretty endgame, in my opinion. Yeah, only thing is that it's definitely more limited, so it's very hard to get. But I was very surprised. You know, Seventh Acoustics isn't like a household name in audiophile circles or anything like that. Definitely not as well known as Noble. So the fact that they came out with an IEM this good, and so far as I know, almost every single person who's tried the Asteria has loved it. So it's definitely, yeah, great sounding IEM, I would say. So I'm putting it S tier because I do think, even though it's expensive, it does punch above its price point a little bit, and can really hang out with any IEM in almost any price level, to be honest, and just really well tuned. So yeah, Seventh Acoustics Asteria is going my S tier. Okay, Elysian Dio. This IEM is honestly, it's hard to categorize. I actually really want to put it in its own tier by itself, but the highest tier here is the S tier, and this IEM is just special. So first of all, Elysian is one of those companies where you have to be like, it's all like handcrafted IEMs, and by essentially just like a single guy or whatever who's making them. So like you gotta be on a wait list. You gotta like wait months for this guy to make you IEMs. So Elysian Annihilator is their most famous model, but they also have these secret models that you can only get by like just requesting them. So it's not even officially available on their website or anything, but like Elysian Annihilator is that's their official model, but then they have secret models that you have to request. So you got to ask for them. There's Elysian X, Tet, Elysian Tet, and then Elysian Dio. You got to really especially request these and be on a wait list and wait like months or whatever. I don't know how long you wait, but I believe the retail price is around $6,000. But I don't know for sure because they don't officially like sell these. You got to like specially get them. I don't know how many there are. There may be like only like probably, I'm guessing, like 20 or 30 units in the world total. Probably not that many. But yeah, it's extremely like, how do I describe this IEM? The soundstage, the air in this IEM. So the upper mids and treble are just, it's got the widest, airiest soundstage I've ever experienced. And I know, like I said this about like, if I were to compare it to Nostalgia Tesseract, for example, right? I think that IEM has a lot of air. This one is just a different level. Literally, when I heard this IEM, it was like the notes were like floating above me. Like the vocal notes and the treble notes, like the sparkling air around me, like it felt like the notes were suspended above me and just the decay right above my head. Like it's hard to describe just how good it is. I just couldn't stop listening to this thing. It's so hard for me to like. I was just trying IEMs, so hard to put this one down. It's just on a different level than the other IEMs I've tried. Like, even though I had no like Subtonic Storm, Seventh Acoustics Asteria, these are some of the greatest IEMs I've tried, but Elysian Dio is just different. It doesn't have as much bass as Storm or Asteria. I think those have more bass. Those are actually, Asteria is definitely like a little bit more on the energetic side. Storm is a little bit more, safely balanced, well balanced, I would say. Asteria a bit more energetic. Dio is the bass is just okay. It's not like especially elevated or anything. Some people might find it lean. But it's the mids and the treble, the mids and treble have this extremely airy presentation, extremely spacious, airy presentation where it just feels like the notes are floating around you or above you, The way that they float and decay is just, it's incredible. I don't know what else to describe it. It's like, whenever the singer's singing in a track, it just feels like she's floating, like the notes are just floating in front of me. Or suspended above me. It's a different experience. Anyways, this thing is tier for me. It's like probably yeah, it's probably the best IEM I've heard so far. You know, I've ever heard Mr. Craft Hex. That's another company the same founder went on to create, which cost $9,000. I've not heard Fugaku, but Dio is really really up there. It's just different level. I don't know how else to describe it. But anyways, should probably even be in its own tier. But I'll put in the S tier here. It's man. You really have to experience it basically, and it's hard to experience it because there's only a few existing in the world. But anyways, I'm telling you guys, this IEM is just another level. So actually, the original Dio version of the Annihilator, I think retailed for around 3,700. But if you get it with a special cable pairing, it can go all the way up to 14,000. And then on the used market, it goes for 6,000, 7,000. So yeah, it's like one of those IEMs where like it's in high demand, and people will significantly overpay the retail price to get it because you have to be on a wait list and stuff. So it's like one of those highly sought after IEMs, just like Storm and Asteria essentially. Hercules Audio Moses. This IEM, I think it's I was actually thinking, should this be high A tier or low S tier? Because honestly, this is a $4,200 IEM, I believe. It sounds pretty close to, in my opinion, it sounds pretty close to Noble Kronos. And I put Kronos in the S tier already, right? So I guess I had to put Hercules Moses in the S tier as well. I just didn't want to have too many IEMs in the S tier, but I guess I have to because I could put Kronos in the S tier. To me, it sounded pretty close to Kronos, to be honest. Like, it has a fairly balanced tuning, so it's like a safe tuning, you know? Nothing's too elevated, nothing's too recessed. It's got this soft W shape, essentially, which is what I mean by safe, balanced tuning. But it's got extreme levels of detail, extreme levels of soundstage, all pretty much on the same tier as Noble Kronos, I'd say. So yeah, I'd have to do the A/B side by side because I listened to Kronos first, which went on my S tier because it's just a fantastically well-balanced IEM, and soundstage and detail, everything was top tier. Really great all-arounder, actually. But for the Moses, I listened to this after, and I guess it didn't impress me as much because I listened to Kronos already. I just thought the Moses was pretty close to Kronos, to be honest, which also means that it's very well tuned. It'll work as an all-arounder. Some people might find it boring or too safe, but hey, it'll work for all genres, I'd say, because it's got a slight amount of energy to them. But it's like, I think I have to put in the S tier because Macbeth is actually kind of like this as well. The Forte Ears Macbeth, except Moses I think is on a little bit higher than Macbeth in terms of technicalities. Like, I think the detail and soundstage is a little bit above Macbeth. And I also do think it's slightly better balanced than Macbeth is. So yeah, I'm going to put Hercules Audio's Moses on the S tier, just like the Kronos. I'd like to compare them side by side, but I don't. I would have to have two $4,000 IEMs, you know, for that. But yeah, I think my impressions of Moses are pretty similar to Kronos. Like, very well balanced tuning and top tier soundstage and detail, you know. So it's just a great Summit Phi all-arounder IEM. Okay, the Visioneers Phonics. This is an IEM I actually owned for about a week, actually. I didn't own it all too long, but I really did like it. It's just that I had to choose between this and other IEMs, and I didn't want to have too much invested in this hobby. This is an expensive IEM. There's no way around it. $4,200 US is, yeah, that's not pocket change. But I will say this is one of the best IEMs I've heard, especially for one that I've owned before. So what you know about the Phonics is that this is Visioneer's flagship. It's based off of their previous flagship, their Urkonig, except it's based on one of the settings of their Urkonig. Their Urkonig has several settings. This is based on setting 2, which was the most popular, and they refined it a bit more in the Phonics. It's built really, really well. It's got the carbon fiber shell. It's got glass face plates. It's built really, really well. Looks great. The tuning is done pretty well. I would say reminds me of the Visioneers V10 tuning, which is a good tuning. I just didn't like the fact that the V10 had below average technicalities for its price point. But the Phonics definitely has the technicals for its price point. This is a flagship tier IEM, and it sounds like a flagship. It's got the details, the resolution. Okay, soundstage could be better, but it's one of the few things that it doesn't do well. You know, soundstage is okay. It's not bad or anything. Soundstage is there. It's just not as good as some other top tier IEMs. But the tuning's there. It's got a W shape to it, so it's got good bass, good amount of treble, and upper mids. So it's everything is actually done well and is very forward as well in the mids. So what you notice about this IEM, and I had a review of this thing as well, the bass is one of the best I've heard from a balanced armature driver. It doesn't have dynamic drivers, but it sounds almost like a dynamic driver because it does have the slam and the punch. However, it doesn't have sub-bass extension because dynamic drivers are the only ones that usually have that. Like balanced armatures just can't do sub-bass extension well. That's where the VE10 actually kind of beats it. But the mid bass is really good. The mid bass presentation has a lot of punch. It's really tight, focused, doesn't bleed into the mids at all. The mids, especially the upper mids, are very forward. So it's very well detailed. It got a lot of good vocal texture in it. And the treble is also, you know, slightly elevated, but not too much. It's not harsh or peaky too much. You know, I guess it can be for some people, but not for me. So yeah, overall, it's a really good IEM. The reason why I think I didn't keep it is because if you do listen to it for a long period of time, it can be fatiguing because, okay, the treble is not like peaky or anything, but it is like on the bright side, I would say. Like this is a warm IEM overall, but the treble can be you know, a little bit too much for some people. Even though I won't say it's a peaky treble, but it can be a little bit too energetic because this is like an energetic IEM with also forward vocals, which is kind of interesting. I don't really see too many IEMs that have energetic presentation, but is also good for vocals. But that's what this one is. But it can be a little bit too much, you know. And I kind of like my IEMs a little bit more laid back. But the phonics is it's just too in your face. I think it's too energetic. The vocals are in your face. It sounds like the singer is right in front of me. It can get shouty for some people, and it can be harsh and fatiguing for some people if you listen to it for a while. And I think that's, yeah, I would have kept this IEM if I like. The thing is, it's so expensive. You know, I had too much money tied up in it, and honestly, it can get fatiguing if you listen to it for longer periods, you know. So it's definitely like, I prefer my IEMs maybe a little bit more laid back. But I have to agree, phonics is overall well tuned and it's very detailed. But it's just maybe a little bit too forward, you know. It's a little bit too much for some people. Very energetic presentation, and also the vocals are really forward and in your face. The mids are really forward and in your face, I should say. So, yeah, overall though, it's still a really good IEM, so I had to put it in the S tier. So yeah, the only thing is, okay, soundstage could be better, and it might be a little bit too forward for some people, but other people will be fine with this, you know. Definitely, this is one of those IEMs that will wow you right when you put it in your ear. It's not one of those that takes time to grow on you. It'll wow you right away because everything is so forward on it. Bass, mids, treble, everything's so forward on it. It's an energetic IEM with forward mids and vocals, so not too many IEMs like that. Maybe a little bit on the warm side for some people as well, but it's okay. It's good. Okay, so also on the S tier, I'm going to put the Rapsodio Supreme V3. Now, I want to make a disclaimer about this one. So this is actually kind of a custom version of the Supreme V3. So usually if you look up the chart for V3, you'll see that the tuning of the V3 has like a bunch of treble peaks. But the version that I tried doesn't have any treble peaks, at least definitely not to my ears. And I'm treble sensitive, you know. I don't like to have IEMs with even a little bit of a treble peak. Like even the phonics, like some people are like, yeah, there's no treble peak on the phonics. But for me, even I can kind of hear like the treble is a little bit harsh on the phonics, but it's not for a lot of people, you know. And obviously you have IEMs like Tia Forte and Viking Ragnar, which do have that treble peak, and I can easily notice that. So on the normal graph, on the normal Rapsodio Supreme V3, which is the gold-plated version, you do see those treble peaks, and there's no way I can handle that. But for this version, this is some custom version that my friend in my audiophile group had. This one is actually tuned very well, I would say. It doesn't have any of the treble harshness or peaks. It's actually got very smooth treble, I think. At least to my ears, I didn't graph this one, but to my ears, got very smooth treble. Almost seems like it's actually rolled off a bit, to be honest. So it's very different from what you would normally see on the Supreme V3 graph. And the bass is like slightly elevated, I would say, as well. Yeah, so mids are actually not recessed either, so it's actually pretty interesting. It's got a very esoteric tuning to it, and I actually do like it. Believe it or not, it actually, for me, it actually kind of reminds me a bit of Dita Perpetua. I know like that kind of seems like a crazy comparison, like, but for me, it seems like kind of. It's probably because for me the treble is so smooth, and Perpetua has really smooth treble. So and it doesn't have recessed mids. So I think that's why it kind of reminds me of that. Because Supreme V3 to me doesn't really have. It might have a little bit of recessed mids, but it's not really recessed to my ears. So it's like the mids are not recessed, like a lot of IEMs are, and treble is actually just rolled off a little bit. So it actually sounds very very laid back actually because of that. And then the bass has got a bit of a push. So it's actually a very unique tuning. And it works, you know, it's a bit of an esoteric tuning, but I think it works well for this one. And very, very detailed. Soundstage is really nice. Technicalities are all there. And this is definitely a very flagship IEM because like the price, I mean, $6,000, right? Yeah, it's a crazy price. I'm not going to say necessarily if it's like worth that price to pay, but I will say that this tuning is very, very unique, and I haven't really experienced this kind of tuning with any other IEM, and it sounds very good. You know, it's not fatiguing, and I can keep listening to it for hours and hours. So it's fun without being it's like fun without being too energetic or fatiguing, which is interesting. So it's not like phonics, for example. Phonics I also put in this tier as well, right? But phonics can be a little bit too energetic sometimes. It can be fatiguing, but not for the Supreme V3. So it's interesting, at least not for the version that I have. So I'm gonna put the Supreme V3 in the S tier with a caveat that is not the normal Supreme V3. It's the resin shell version I got from my friend. So yeah, it's a bit of a different version, but I do really like this one. Okay, so the Aroma Audio Feiwan. This I think is one of the best energetic IEMs I've ever heard. It's got a really nice tuning to it. It's got a W-shaped tuning. The bass is done fairly well. It's got nice textured bass. Not necessarily the best bass I've heard, but it's definitely pretty decent bass. Upper mids are pushed forward on this as well, and treble is very, very good and extended. Reminds me of Elysian Dio treble, actually. It's not quite Elysian Dio level, but it's like right beneath it, you know? So it's like, for me, it's got to be same tier as Elysian Dio, because Dio does have the treble, but it doesn't have the mids of Feiwan. And the bass as well. The bass, I think Feiwan has better bass as well. So yeah, like, believe it or not, I would say the Feiwan and the Dio are actually comparable. Just Dio is probably, like the best IEM I ever heard if you include the treble and the spatial presentation and everything. But Feiwan actually comes fairly close. And to be honest, it comes pretty close to Asteria as well. In fact, I think it's better than Asteria in some ways. So the 7th Acoustics Asteria also has a W shape. Asteria probably has better bass, to be honest. The bass texture is a bit better on Asteria. Quantity might be around the same. The upper mids, I think that I think maybe Feiwan actually might have better mids than Asteria, to be honest. It's close, but I think I would pick Feiwan for mids. Treble, Feiwan has better treble. Yeah, so Feiwan, like the treble is second only to Dio. So the treble on Feiwan is really, really amazing. So yeah, it's got just top shelf technicalities, and yeah, really it doesn't really have too many weaknesses. I would say maybe like you want to say the bass not the best, the mids are not the best, but they're still top shelf, you know, and the treble is like second only to Dio. So it's a really, really good IEM. Really, really impressed with it. So yeah, I know Jewel is technically a little bit more expensive than Feiwan, but Jewel is a very, very specialist IEM. It's just for vocals, basically, for mids and vocals. So I couldn't exactly put in the S tier because I felt like Jewel is just way too specialist. But Feiwan is one that I think can work with a lot of genres, more genres than Jewel. So it might not be as good as Jewel in terms of the mids, but In terms of being an all-arounder, I think Fei 1 is better for that. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to put Fei 1 here. It's actually really close to Asteria, Chronos, Moses, Storm, you know, all these IEMs. I think it's all close to each other. You know, that's why they're all in the same tier here. But they all have like slight differences, I guess, in what they do best, or they don't. Some of the weaknesses and some of the strengths, you know, like just subtle differences in each, but all pretty much around the same tier. So anyways, Fei 1 deserves to be up here. It is definitely S tier class IEM, in my opinion. Very end game. Okay, so also in the S tier is probably the most expensive IEM on the planet, which is Brise Fugaku. So this IEM costs $17,000. I know that's ridiculous, but that's how much it costs. Now, I'm not counting the Rhapsodium Master because I think that's a joke IEM. That costs $30,000, but it's a joke. I don't pay attention to that. But yeah, so Brise Fugaku, I think de facto, it is the most expensive IEM you can get. Now, it has to come with this amp. So you have to bring this like this amplifier with it. And it's very, very unique because it contains a MEMS driver, which I don't think any other IEM uses. And the MEMS is for treble, but kind of interestingly enough, nobody actually says the treble is the best on the Fugaku. Like, I listened to Fugaku for just a bit. This is a very rare IEM to even hear, but I did hear it for a bit. I felt like the treble was good. Like, it was very airy, had good spacious presentation, but I don't think it was quite as good as like Elysian Dio, for example, or even Aroma Feiwan. I don't think it was as good as those. But it has a MEMS driver for the treble, so I guess that's kind of unique technology. The mids are good. Like, they're forward and detailed, but the thing is, I feel like it's a little bit too forward sometimes, and I think that is not sounding as natural as something like, say, the Aureolus Trelli or the Aroma Jewel. I think sounds more natural to me, or the TSMR Halo even. I think the mids on those sound more natural to me. I think that the Fugaku's mids are kind of reminding me of Phonics a bit, because it does sound forward, but and it does have decent texture, but it's not very natural sounding to me. So I guess the mids are not. I mean, it's good, but it's the standout point of Fugaku, I think, is the bass, and I think everyone who has heard Fugaku will say this, that the bass is probably the best bass you'll ever hear. Now, I didn't hear PMG ME yet, Apex ME. I mean, that one I think has people say is really amazing bass too, but Fugaku bass is very, very textured, and yeah, it's got the slam, it's got the rumble, it's just got the punch, basically, that all the other bass that you've heard, basically. Just take some of the best bass you've heard from any IEM, and Fugaku will basically beat it in terms of the texture and rumble. It's got, yeah, probably best in class bass for any IEM. Like, it's top shelf bass, basically. So that's really what Fugaku has. It's just bass. You know, that's really the thing that has it standing above all other IEMs. Treble is good. It's good, but it's not like top shelf. I don't think it's not like Dio or Feiwan. Mids are also just good, but it's not top shelf. Again, I'm not going to put it on Trelli or Jewel level, but the bass is definitely the best I've heard. So it's top shelf. So that's why this one still goes in S tier here. Okay, it does something that other IEMs. Like, the bass is the area where I think it does better than any other IEM, but yeah, I'm not going to say this is a great value, because it's not. I mean, I don't think it's worth $17,000. Definitely not. Like, this sounds like on the same level. The soundstage, the technicalities, and everything, to be honest, is not too far off from Storm. Now, Storm is also an expensive IEM. I already talked about it, right? That's a $6,000 IEM. So I'm not saying Storm is cheap or good value either, but relatively speaking, if you would compare it to Dio and Storm, I think that you can get pretty close to Fugaku level or technicalities, you know, on Storm or Dio, and those are actually quite a bit cheaper than Fugaku. So, yeah, definitely not the best value, for sure. It's an insane price, but it does have something that's best in class, which is the bass. So, anyways, it goes in S tier here. I'm not gonna. You know, in terms of value, it shouldn't be here, but the S tier is really about in-game technicalities, right? Something about in-game technicalities. Yeah, And Fugaku is also can be an all-arounder as well. In terms of the tuning signature, yeah, I would say it does have that W shape that's so common, in these high-end IEMs. So it is an all-arounder enough for me to put in S tier. It can work for most genres. Yeah. So I would say it's not like a specialist IEM or anything, and does something which is endgame, which is bass. So yeah, I'm putting S tier here. Yeah, but it's just the price is insane. I don't think I'll ever buy it, but yeah, I don't recommend anyone ever buy it. But if you have the chance to try it, definitely try it. It's definitely worth trying.